Chapter 740. The facial restoration pill was different from other pills. After a person died, it could still help restore their true appearance. Soon, Mu Shui'er and Mu Qing both returned to their original appearances. After all these years, the siblings didn't change much, but they were much more mature than before. Especially Mu Qing. Now she was 185 meters tall, with a thin face with distinct features. Her dark eyes were like two black gems, and she exuded a steady temperament. Qin Feiyong sized up the siblings and frowned. "Why did you hide your identities?" Mu Qing sneered. "If we didn't hide our identities, would you let us follow you?" Qin Feiyong fell silent. If he really knew their identities from the beginning, not only would he not let them follow him, but he would also kill them immediately. "I'm going back to the Forgotten Land soon. Do you want to come with me?" Mu Qing said. "I don't know." Qin Feiyong shook his head. "You don't know? Do you think you have anywhere else to go now? There's no place for you in the Great Qin Empire now." Mu Qing sneered. Qin Feiyong frowned and asked, "Your space-time gate can directly teleport you to the Forgotten Land?" "No." Mu Qing said. "No?" Qin Feiyong was stunned. "Then how did you come to the spiritual state from the Forgotten Land?" Mu Qing said, "Although my space-time gate can't, the real space-time gate can." "What do you mean?" Qin Feiyong became more and more puzzled. "There are some things that I can tell you. Shui'er and I came to the Great Qin Empire to find Lu Xingqian. Back then, an old man in my clan divined that Lu Xingqian was in the netherworld. So, he opened the real door of time and space and sent us directly to the 9 underworlds. Later on, we met Lu Xingqian in the 9 underworlds' Yellow Springs. Since then, we have been hiding in his spatial divine item." Mu Qing said. Qin Feiyong frowned. When he was trapped by Mo Wuxian and the others and fell into the sea of bitterness, he went to Lu Xingqian's spatial divine item. He remembered that these two people weren't in the spatial divine item at that time. Oh right. Lu Xingqian had once told him that the secret chamber was only a part of his spatial divine item. There was an even larger space outside the secret chamber. It seemed that Mu Qing and her brother were hiding in the space outside the secret chamber at that time. After pondering for a moment, Qin Feiyong said, "In other words, it was Lu Xingqian who brought you to the capital?" "That's right." Mu Qing nodded. Qin Feiyong was puzzled. "Why are you looking for him?" "I can't tell you about this," Mu Qing said. Qin Feiyong frowned slightly and asked, "Then what's the deal with the door of time and space?" "The real door of time and space can teleport you to anywhere. For example, in the Great Qin Empire, it can directly teleport you to the 9 underworlds Yellow Springs or the Forgotten Land. The door of time and space on me is just a replica. It can only teleport you to and from the same continent." Mu Qing said. "A replica?" Qin Feiyong was in disbelief. If a replica was so amazing, how terrifying would the real door of time and space be? "I've told you everything that I can. I can't say anything. Even if you kill me now, I won't say anything. Do you want to go to the Forgotten Land? Make a decision quickly." Mu Qing said expressionlessly. "Wait." Qin Feiyong stretched out his hand, thought for a moment and said, "There's another question. When you schemed against me in the 9 underworlds Yellow Springs, was it also related to Lu Xingqian?" "No. At that time, I hadn't seen Lu Xingqian yet, and I didn't know about your relationship with Lu Xingqian. So I wanted to get rid of you with the help of Feng Wuxia and the others. After all, we had a deep grudge in the Forgotten Land. I had to make the first move. But later, I met Lu Xingqian and learned about your relationship with him, so I gave up the idea of killing you. And Lu Xingqian repeatedly told me not to touch you." Mu Qing said. "It's good that it's okay." Qin Feiyong breathed a sigh of relief. He was worried that Lu Xingqian was the one behind all of this. If that was the case, then entrusting Ren Wuxuang to Lu Xingqian was tantamount to pushing her to a dead end. And now, at least it meant that Lu Xingqian didn't have any malice towards him for the time being. As long as he didn't fall out with Lu Xingqian, Ren Wuxuang's safety would be guaranteed. After thinking for a moment, Qin Feiyong said, "Where did you and Lu Xingqian meet?" "It was when Feng Wuxia and the others ambushed you. At that time, Shui'er and I were hiding not far away," Mu Qing said. Qin Feiyong thought carefully for a moment and said, "Was it the time when Lu Xingqian found the flower of death?" "Yes." At that time, when you were fighting with Feng Wuxie and the others, I took the opportunity to send a message to Lu Xingchen. While you weren't paying attention, he quietly sneaked to see me, and later rescued Feng Wuxie and the others from your hands. And in order not to arouse your suspicion, we deliberately left the flower of death unpicked. But we didn't expect that in the end, because of the flower of death, you caught Lu Xingchen in the act. Mu Qing explained. I see. Qin Feiyang suddenly understood and said. So, you know the reason why Lu Xingchen saved them? Yes. Mu Qing nodded and said. But I can't tell you. As soon as she finished speaking, Qin Feiyang took a step forward, grabbed Mu Qing's neck and said coldly, if you don't tell me, I'll kill you. Then kill me. Mu Qing looked at Qin Feiyang calmly, without the slightest panic or fear. Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows and finally let go of his hand, saying, You and Lu Xingchen have known each other for a long time? Mu Qing took a few breaths and shook her head. No, I've never seen him before we met in the netherworld. Qin Feiyang's eyes were suddenly filled with surprise and doubt. If you've never met him, then why did Mu Qing come to Lu Xingchen? What secrets does Lu Xingchen have that no one knows? He felt that the current situation was getting more and more mysterious. He pondered for a while. A flash of light suddenly flashed in his eyes, and he said, Wait a moment, I'll go to the castle to discuss with everyone. Mu Qing nodded. Qin Feiyang flashed and entered the castle. Fatso and the others were not cultivating. They all had their heads lowered as if they were thinking. Seeing Qin Feiyang come in, Fatso immediately looked up at Qin Feiyang and said, Boss, Mu Qing's identity is not simple. What do you mean? Qin Feiyang asked. The space-time gate. Look, the space-time gate on Mu Qing's body is just a replica. But this replica is actually a sacred artifact. Isn't this too unbelievable? Similarly, if the replica space-time gate is a sacred artifact, then what level of weapon is the real space-time gate? I really don't dare to think about it. Fatso said, his eyes full of fear. Lu Hong added, There's one more point. I believe everyone has deeply experienced how difficult it is to revive a sacred artifact. Fatso, Wolf King, and the other beasts nodded. Just now, if it weren't for the help of that mysterious person, they wouldn't have been able to revive the space-time gate at all. In the end, they might even have lost their lives. Because at that time, the space-time gate was actively absorbing the qi and blood in their bodies, they were already helpless. In short, the space-time gate was forcibly absorbing their qi and blood. This was the price to pay for forcefully reviving a sacred artifact because their cultivation was not enough. Think about it. Reviving the replica space-time gate already requires so much qi and blood. How much qi and blood would it take to revive the real space-time gate? It's definitely not as simple as 1 or 2 times. But Mu Qing said that he and Mu Shui entered the 9 levels of hell through the real space-time gate. What does this mean? This means that the people in Mu Qing's clan have the ability to revive the real space-time gate. Lu Hong said. Qin Feiyang's pupils shrank. A sacred artifact could only be revived by a 9-star battle saint at the very least. The real space-time gate's level was definitely higher than a sacred artifact. This meant that there was someone in Mu Qing's clan who surpassed the battle saint level. And this Lu Xingchen was actually related to such a behemoth? It was really too strange. Qin Feiyang was silent for a while, then asked, So what do you mean? We have to go to the Forgotten Land. Since we can't get the answer from Lu Xingchen, then we have to go to the Forgotten Land and start from the clan behind Mu Qing. Fatso said. Yes, we have to investigate thoroughly. I have a feeling that Lu Xingchen, Mu Qing, and the clan behind Mu Qing are planning a big conspiracy, and I think it has something to do with you. Lu Hong said worriedly. Why do you think so? Qin Feiyang asked. Lu Hong said, If it has nothing to do with you, why would they help you? That's right. Qin Feiyang gave Lu Hong a thumbs up, looked at the two of them and said with a smile, What you said is basically the same as what I think. Fatso was slightly stunned and said, So before entering the castle, you had already made up your mind to go to the Forgotten Land? That's right. I don't know if you have noticed, but Lu Xingchen really wants me to go to the Forgotten Land. If that's the case, then I'll do as he wishes. I'd like to see what's hidden in the Forgotten Land. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed and he left the castle, looked at Mu Qing and said, Okay, I'll go to the Forgotten Land with you. But the problem is that your space-time gate can't transport us there. How are we going to get there? Mu Qing said, that depends on you. Me? Qin Feiyong was suspicious. The person guarding the teleportation altar in Butterfly Valley now is Run Wushuang's grandfather. With your relationship with him, it shouldn't be difficult to get him to let us go, right? Mu Qing said. Qin Feiyong frowned and asked, is there no other way? No. If you can contact my clan, it won't be so troublesome. Just use the Real Spacetime Gate to take us there. But my clansmen are all in the Forgotten Land, and I can't contact them at all, so I can only go to Butterfly Valley, Mu Qing said. Qin Feiyong pondered for a moment and said, then I'll try to find him. Mu Qing said, let me hide in your castle first. Qin Feiyong was stunned and said, why? Can't you see the light? It's okay to meet Ren Wushuang's grandfather. But if I'm found by that snow python, I'll be in big trouble. Mu Qing said, her eyes full of fear. Snow python? Qin Feiyong was stunned and asked, is the snow python you're talking about the one lurking in the ice lake? Yes. It's the guardian of the teleportation altar in the Forgotten Land. Mu Qing nodded. It's just as I thought. Chapter 741. Butterfly Valley. It was as quiet and peaceful as ever. The sea of flowers, lakes, grasslands, and forests had not changed at all. At this moment, on the shore of the lake, a white-haired old man was leaning against a thick willow tree, holding a fishing rod and concentrating on fishing. Suddenly, the float that was floating on the surface of the water suddenly sank. The white-haired old man was refreshed and pulled up hard. A big fish as long as an arm was pulled up to the shore. What a big harvest today! The old man was very happy. But suddenly, the old man raised his eyebrows and looked up at the sky. He saw a white figure appear out of thin air in the sky. Qin Feiyong. Are my eyes playing tricks on me? The white-haired old man was stunned. He rubbed his eyes and looked again. Suddenly, his eyebrows were full of surprise. The white figure was still there. This meant that his eyes were not playing tricks on him. Qin Feiyong smiled and said, Old master, you're quite relaxed. That's right. The white-haired old man fishing was Run Wushuang's grandfather. Kid, aren't you in the capital? The old man looked at Qin Feiyong in a daze. Swish. Qin Feiyong smiled, swooped down, and landed beside the old man. Looking at the big fish struggling on the ground, he said, It's a good harvest. The old man frowned and said, Answer my question. Why did you suddenly come back? Qin Feiyong smiled and said, I can't stay in the capital anymore, so I can only come back and continue to follow you. The old man said angrily, Get lost, don't talk nonsense. Did you get into trouble in the capital? Qin Feiyong was stunned. He shook his head and said with a wry smile, I really can't hide anything from you. I knew it. You little bastard won't let people feel at ease. The old man glared at him angrily and said, Tell me what's going on. Qin Feiyong said, I'll tell you if you promise not to be angry. Okay, I promise not to be angry. The old man said, It's all because I'm in the imperial capital. But at this point Qin Feiyong stopped abruptly. After pondering for a moment, he shook his head and said, Forget it. It's better that you don't know about these things. Are you asking for a beating? The old man's face instantly darkened, and his veins bulged. I'm not joking. I don't want to make things difficult for you, Qin Feiyong said. Although the old man had already stepped down from his position, he was still a member of the Great Qin Empire in the end, and he was an upright person. If the old master knew that he had killed the princes, he would definitely be put in a difficult position. The old man looked at him deeply and said helplessly, All right, this old man won't care about young people's affairs. After saying that, he smiled and said, You came back at the right time. Let's go, this old man will boil a pot of fresh fish soup for you to try. Qin Feiyong glanced at the big fish and shook his head. I'm afraid I won't be able to eat it this time. Immediately after, Old man, I'm here because I need your help with something. Oh, Yangming said sternly. What is it? The old man was suspicious. Qin Feiyong said, I want to go to the Forgotten Land. Go to the Forgotten Land? The old man frowned. Yes. Qin Feiyong nodded. The old man asked suspiciously, What are you going to do there? Qin Feiyong said, I have some personal matters to take care of. The old man pondered for a moment, then shook his head and said, "That place is not simple. If you don't explain it clearly, this old man will not let you go." Not simple. Qin Feiyang's heart skipped a beat, and asked, "Can you tell me, what kind of place is the Forgotten Land? This old man is not very clear either. I only heard from the previous mansion master that the Forgotten Land is a very terrifying place. Furthermore, the emperor had personally ordered that no one was allowed to enter the Forgotten Land without his permission." The old man said in a deep voice. "There's such a thing?" Qin Feiyang was surprised. Since the emperor had personally ordered it, then why did Zhu Yu ask him to go to the Forgotten Land to snatch the heavenly thunder flame back then? Wasn't this tantamount to disobeying the emperor's order? One had to know. Disobeying the emperor's order was a capital offense. And after hearing the old man's words, he recalled that Zhu Yu didn't desire the heavenly thunder flame so much back then. Could it be that Zhu Yu didn't ask him to go to the Forgotten Land because of the heavenly thunder flame, but for other reasons? Qin Feiyang cupped his hands and said, "Old man, I have to go to the Forgotten Land. Please make an exception." The old man said, "I can make an exception, but you have to tell this old man the reason." Qin Feiyang frowned and said, "Well, I'll tell you. I'm going to the Forgotten Land to investigate Lu Xingqian." Investigate him? The old man was stunned. What did Lu Xingqian have to do with the Forgotten Land? To tell you the truth, after Lu Xingqian entered the imperial capital, he became more mysterious than before, and there were people from the Forgotten Land who came to find him. Qin Feiyang secretly said, "How is that possible?" The old man looked at Qin Feiyang suspiciously. Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly. "I'm telling the truth. I'll tell you the details after I've investigated it. Okay? The old man hesitated for a moment and nodded. "Okay, this old man will let you go." "Thank you, old man." Qin Feiyang was overjoyed, hurriedly cupped his hands and thanked him, and then asked, "By the way, is there only one entrance to the Forgotten Land?" This old man only knows that there is only one entrance in the 9 provinces, but this old man doesn't know about the imperial capital. The old man said. Qin Feiyang nodded thoughtfully and said with a smile, "I understand, there's no time to lose. Let's go to the teleportation altar immediately." As he spoke, he opened a portal. "In such a hurry?" The old man was stunned and sighed. "I wanted to have a good chat with you. It seems that we can only wait for the future." After saying that, he stepped into the portal. Qin Feiyang followed behind. Whoosh! In the blink of an eye, the two appeared in the secret chamber below the Butterfly Valley. The old man waved his hand, and his battle aura surged into the teleportation altar. After a while, the teleportation altar shone brightly. Whoosh! Qin Feiyang jumped onto the altar and turned to look at the old man. "If people from the imperial capital come to find me, don't say that I went to the Forgotten Land and that you didn't see me." "What do you mean?" The old man was surprised. But before Qin Feiyang could answer, the altar teleported him away. "What on earth is this kid doing?" The old man muttered suspiciously, then turned and walked out of the secret chamber. But just as he returned to the lake and was about to deal with the big fish, whoosh! One by one, black armored guards descended on the Butterfly Valley. The leader was a man in golden armor, and his aura was soaring to the sky. "Who is it?" The old man suddenly looked up, and his face was full of surprise. Even the weakest of these people was stronger than him. But when he saw the armor on those guards, his face suddenly changed. "Greetings, lords." He hurriedly bowed. He had been to the imperial capital before, so he naturally recognized the clothes of these guards. The man in golden armor said, "I am the commander of the invincible Black Army." The old man's eyes trembled, and he respectfully said, "Greetings, Commander." The commander said, "Are you the guardian of this place?" "Yes, I am." The old man respectfully replied. The commander asked, "Did you see Qin Feiyang come back?" "Qin Feiyang?" The old man's heart skipped a beat, and he suspiciously said, "Isn't Qin Feiyang in the imperial capital?" The commander said, "Not long ago. He escaped from the imperial capital." "Escaped?" The old man was surprised and asked, "Why did he escape?" "He killed the current crown prince and the princes. His Majesty has issued an arrest warrant for him. If you don't want to get yourself into trouble, tell me honestly. Did you see him or not?" The Grand Commander asked in a stern voice. What? That bastard actually caused such a big trouble? The old man's body and mind trembled. Did this bastard eat a leopard's guts to kill the crown prince and the princes? He couldn't help but struggle in his heart. If he didn't report it, he wouldn't be able to live with his conscience. However, he loved Qin Feiyong more than he hated him. He really couldn't bear to let Qin Feiyong fall into eternal damnation. On one hand it was justice and on the other hand it was personal feelings. He really didn't know how to choose. The commander said in a deep voice, "You haven't spoken for a long time. Seems that you have seen him." No. The old man's face suddenly changed. He hurriedly waved his hand and said, "Sir, don't misunderstand. I was shocked. How dare he do such a disgraceful thing? This little bastard really has no respect for the law." Obviously, in the end, he still chose to help Qin Feiyong. Isn't that right? It's because of him that the imperial capital is now in chaos. The commander sighed deeply and believed the old man's words. He said, "Since you don't know, then I won't waste my time." Then he turned to look at the 10 guards standing in the front row behind him and ordered, "Stay here. Once you see Qin Feiyong, kill him without mercy." "Yes." The 10 guards responded respectfully. After that, the Grand Commander left with the other guards. The old man wiped his cold sweat and was extremely angry. He muttered, "Brat, you better be right. Otherwise, this old man won't forgive you." At the same time, Forgotten Land, Glacier Forest. Qin Feiyong fell into the ice lake again. The lake water was bone-chilling cold. But today was different from the past. With his current cultivation, this cold was no longer a threat to him. At the same time, when Qin Feiyong fell into the ice lake, the ferocious beasts lurking in the ice lake opened their bloody mouths and rushed towards him. Boom! However, Qin Feiyong only released his pressure and the ferocious beasts scattered. But they did not leave. They surrounded in the distance and stared at Qin Feiyong vigilantly. Qin Feiyong stood in the lake. His eyes flashed slightly and he dived towards the bottom of the lake. Soon, he saw the snow python again. It was dozens of meters long and its whole body was as white as jade. Just like the last time he saw it, it was sleeping. However, Qin Feiyong still couldn't see through the snow python's cultivation. How strong is it? Looking at the snow python, Qin Feiyong couldn't help but have a trace of suspicion in his eyes. A moment later, he decisively turned and rushed towards the lake. It was better not to provoke such a terrifying existence. Boom! After a few breaths, a huge wave was set off on the lake. Qin Feiyong rushed out and stood above the ice lake, scanning the surroundings. In the sky, snow was falling. The cold current roared in the void. On the ground, it was all snow-white. After so many years, this glacier didn't change much. I'm here again. Chapter 742. After leaving the ice lake, Qin Feiyong landed on the peak of an ice mountain. With a wave of his hand, Mu Qing appeared out of thin air with Mu Xue'er in her arms. Qin Feiyong said, "I've come to the Forgotten Land as you wished. What's next?" Next, as Mu Qing said this, she suddenly looked behind Qin Feiyong and bowed. "Greetings, Tower Master." "Tower Master?" Qin Feiyong's eyes trembled and he hurriedly turned his head to look. But there was no trace of the Tower Master behind him. Qin Feiyong immediately realized that he had been tricked and hurriedly turned to look at Mu Qing. At that moment, Mu Qing had already opened a teleportation gate and walked into it. "My mission is to bring you to the Forgotten Land. Everything else has nothing to do with me." After saying this, Mu Qing disappeared without a trace. Damn it! Qin Feiyong's face darkened. He did not expect to be tricked by this person again. Whoosh! With a wave of his hand, Wolf King, Fatso, and the pangolin appeared. "Hey boss, I didn't expect you to have such a day." As soon as Fatso appeared, he laughed sinisterly. "Get lost." Qin Feiyong rolled his eyes and said, "If I remember correctly, the Lu tribe is outside the glacier." "Yes. The battle kings in the tribe were all killed by us." "Why? You want to eliminate the source of the trouble?" Fatso looked at him in surprise. "It's just a small tribe. Do you have to go through so much trouble? My targets are the Ziyang tribe, the Mingwang tribe, and the Black Tortoise tribe," Qin Feiyong said. At the mention of these three tribes, The long-sealed memories rushed out of his mind. Back then, on the eve of leaving the Forgotten Land, the 3 leaders of the Ziyang tribe, the Mingwang tribe, and the Black Tortoise tribe almost killed them. If Wolf King hadn't taken the Juku Yellow Dragon pill at the critical moment, if it wasn't for the mysterious lady saving them, they would have already turned into white bones. It didn't matter if he didn't come here. It was all in the past anyway. But since he was here, he had to settle the score. Fatso, Wolf King, and the pangolin also recalled these events, and a cold light flashed in their eyes. Qin Feiyong said, "Go to the 3 major tribes immediately. I want them to disappear." "What about you?" Wolf King asked. "I'll go to White Fox City. Once you're done, come to White Fox City to look for me," Qin Feiyong said. "Why are we going to White Fox City? Have you forgotten that the mysterious madam is in White Fox City?" Fatso and Wolf King's expressions changed. "Of course not. I'm going there this time to see her." Qin Feiyong's eyes flashed as he opened a teleportation gate and walked in. "Is our boss crazy?" Fatso turned to look at Wolf King and the pangolin with bewilderment. "He should be crazy." Wolf King nodded. "Who cares if he's crazy or not? I can't control the desolate power in my body anyway." The pangolin chuckled. Fatso and Wolf King looked at it in surprise and a sinister smile appeared in their eyes. "Let's split up," the Wolf King said. Then, each of them opened a portal and walked in. Purple Sun Tribe. After so many years, this famous tribe was still as prosperous as before. Swoosh! A palm-sized beast shadow suddenly descended in the sky above the Purple Sun Tribe. It was Wolf King. Wolf King stood against the wind and swept his gaze below. He chuckled and shouted, "Old thing, come out and die." His voice was like a bell that reverberated in all directions. "Who is it?" In front of the gate of the tribe, there were 2 burly men wearing black leopard skin windbreakers. They looked very impressive. Hearing Wolf King shout, they immediately looked up at Wolf King with cold eyes. "You don't even remember Lord Wolf. Your memory is too bad, isn't it?" Wolf King snorted coldly and stretched out his little paw. A powerless pressure immediately surged out. "Ah!" Before the 2 burly men could react, they screamed and blood splattered on the spot. "Who dares to cause trouble in my Purple Sun Tribe? They must be tired of living." For a moment, following a series of angry roars, people wearing animal skins rushed out from the tribe below. "So many people want to die? All right, I'll fulfill your wishes." Wolf King's killing intent surged. He pointed his paw in the air and a bright battle chi roared out. Wherever the battle chi went, the people of the Purple Sun Tribe died one by one like ants. Blood rained down and dyed the sky red. "Who is it?" Suddenly, a fierce roar exploded. A skinny middle-aged man flew up into the sky and glared at Wolf King. On the left side of his face, there was a scar like a centipede. It was extremely ferocious. That's right. This man was the leader of the Purple Sun Tribe. "You're finally out." Wolf King grinned and looked at the leader of the Purple Sun Tribe. He shook his head and sighed. "When we left that year, you were already a 9-star combat emperor. Now you're still a 9-star combat emperor. Why are you so useless?" That year, the leader of the Purple Sun Tribe raised his eyebrows and suddenly thought of something. He shouted in anger, "It's you." Wolf King laughed. "That's right, it's me, your Lord Wolf." The leader of the Purple Sun Tribe's face twisted and his eyes were filled with hatred. He said, "Where's Qin Feiyong, that little bastard?" Although on the surface, the Purple Sun Tribe was still as prosperous as before. In fact, after losing the alchemy fire, the overall strength of the tribe had dropped by a level. And all of this was caused by Qin Feiyong and the bastard in front of him. "Little bastard?" Wolf King's eyes turned cold and said, "Old bastard, today we'll settle our old scores." After saying that, that terrifying aura instantly enveloped the entire Purple Sun Tribe. So strong? How many years has it been? How did it become so terrifying? The leader of the Purple Sun Tribe glared at him in disbelief. At the same time, in the sky above the Black Tortoise Tribe, the pangolin returned to his original form. He was like a towering mountain with a ferocious aura that intimidated everyone. In front of him stood a 2-meter-tall burly man. His cultivation was also a 9-star combat emperor. And this burly man was the leader of the Black Tortoise Tribe. The pangolin looked at the leader of the black tortoise tribe with disdain and said, "Tell me, how do you want to die?" Impossible, however. The leader of the black tortoise tribe shook his head as if he didn't hear what the pangolin said. "Nothing is impossible. You can only blame yourselves for provoking us in the past." The pangolin sneered. The same thing was happening in the sky above the bright king tribe. A middle-aged man in white stood in the sky and stared at Fatso in shock. This man was about 1.75 meters tall and had white hair at his temples. He gave off a sense of vicissitudes. He was the leader of the bright king tribe, Luo Guang. "You didn't expect this, did you?" The insignificant person who was comparable to an ant in your eyes has now grown to the point where even you can only look up to him. Fatso chuckled. Luo Guang's pupils contracted and he asked with difficulty, "What is your cultivation level now?" 3-star combat grandmaster. Fatso said. Luo Guang's face turned pale with fright. Fatso sneered and said, "Go to hell and repent slowly." After that, he waved his hand and the black dragon battle chi roared in the sky and charged towards Luo Guang. At the same time, White Fox City. Although the city wasn't big, it had been around for a long time. Qin Feiyong didn't conceal himself and landed in the sky above the governor's mansion. "Who is it?" Suddenly, an old man's roar rang out from below. Following closely, 2 figures flew up into the sky and stared at Qin Feiyong in bewilderment. One of them was a tall and sturdy man. He wore a black beast skin and emitted a wild aura. The other person was an old man. The clothes on his body were actually made of snake skin. He was skinny and looked a little scary. Both of their cultivations were at the 7-star combat grandmaster. Looking at the two of them, Qin Feiyong looked surprised and asked, "You guys aren't dead yet?" Their faces darkened. Old Man Snakeskin said angrily, "Who the hell are you? What are you doing here? You don't remember?" Qin Feiyong was stunned. How long had he been gone? And he had already forgotten about him. However, Qin Feiyong was no stranger to these two people. The two of them were the leaders of the tribes near White Fox City. Back then, they had even joined forces with him to deal with the Meng family. However, unfortunately, they were controlled by the mysterious lady with the slave seal. At that time, they even offered the tribe's pill fire to him, which allowed the nether devil flame to rise to the 3rd grade. He still remembered that there was an old woman at that time, who was also the leader of a nearby tribe. However, she was later killed by the mysterious lady because she contradicted her. However, the cultivation of these two people was far beyond his expectations. If he remembered correctly, these two people were only 5-star combat emperors at that time. But how many years had it been? They actually broke through 2 small realms in a row? This kind of speed was nothing to him. However, for ordinary people it was incredible. Looking at the two of them, Qin Feiyong smiled and said, "You still don't remember?" The two of them looked at Qin Feiyong suspiciously and fell into deep thought. Suddenly, the burly man's gaze trembled and said, "You're Qin Feiyong." When Old Man Snakeskin heard this, his stooped body couldn't help but tremble. "Yes." Qin Feiyong nodded and smiled. Old Man Snakeskin immediately bowed and said, "Greetings, young master." "Young master?" Qin Feiyong was stunned. He didn't expect to have the chance to hear this title. The burly man was also stunned. Then he said in a low voice, "What are you doing? Did you forget the lady's order? He is no longer the young master." Yes. That year, the lady said that if she saw Qin Feiyong again, he would be an enemy. Old Man Snakeskin seemed to have just woken up from a dream. His face darkened and he said, "I didn't expect you to dare to come back." "Why not?" Qin Feiyong smiled faintly. "That year when you robbed the Ziyang tribe, Mingwang tribe and Black Tortoise tribe, the lady took a great risk to save you. But what about you? You're ungrateful and sneaked away?" "I'm not afraid to tell you the truth. The lady has already decided to kill you. This time I guarantee that you won't be able to return." The two of them sneered. Decided to kill. Chapter 743. You still dare to come and see, madam. I really admire your courage. Follow us if you're not afraid of death. Old Man Snakeskin and the burly man sneered, then turned around and dived down. Qin Feiyong pursed his lips and followed behind the two unhurriedly with a faint smile. There was a garden below. covering an area of about 1,000 feet and covered with a layer of pure white snow. On one side of the garden there was a large hall. It was tall and majestic, emitting an ancient aura. At the door, there were many guards wearing leopard fur coats, standing straight with spirited eyes. Whoosh! Qin Feiyong and the other two landed in front of the hall one after another. Greetings to the two lords. Those guards immediately bowed to the burly man and the burly man. Qin Feiyong teased, "You're pretty impressive." "Shut up." Old man Snakeskin shouted coldly, then said to the burly man, "You guard outside, I'll bring him in." "Okay." The burly man nodded. "Follow me." Old man Snakeskin said to Qin Feiyong without turning his head, then strode into the hall. Indeed, he has the potential to be a watchdog. Qin Feiyong looked at the burly man with a mocking gaze, then entered the hall. Crack! The burly man clenched his fists staring at Qin Feiyong, his whole body emitting a shocking killing intent. A guard next to him asked in a low voice, "Lord, is he really Qin Feiyong?" "Yes." The burly man nodded. "Idol." Those guards' eyes were filled with worship. But looking at everyone's reaction, the burly man raised his eyebrows, and his expression became gloomier. More importantly, the guards next to him didn't notice, and kept whispering to each other. It said that Qin Feiyong's group not only robbed the Purple Sun tribe, Bright King tribe, and Black Tortoise tribe's pill fires, but also plundered their treasure vaults. It can be said that he's famous. I've also heard of this. Furthermore, this Qin Feiyong was once taken in as a personal disciple by the Pill Tower's Tower Master. If I remember correctly, the old patriarch also died at the hands of this Qin Feiyong. Tsk, this guy is really fierce. I truly never expected that we would have the opportunity to meet him in person. Hearing these discussions, the burly man's eyes became more and more hazy. Shut up. In the end, he abruptly turned his head, glanced at the guards and gloomily said, "If I hear the name Qin Feiyong again, don't blame me for being merciless." The guards shrank their necks and immediately fell silent. Their eyes were filled with fear. Meanwhile, Qin Feiyong followed behind Old Man Snakeskin and went straight to the second floor of the main hall. In front of a door, Old Man Snakeskin raised his arm and gently knocked on the door. He said respectfully, "Master, Qin Feiyong is back." Bang! Before his voice died away, the door in front of Qin Feiyong and Old Man Snakeskin was smashed into pieces by a huge force. Old Man Snakeskin was startled and instinctively retreated. Following that, a beautiful woman appeared at the door like lightning. She was wearing a mink fur coat, and her long black hair was tied up high, looking graceful and luxurious. That's right. It was the mysterious lady. She stood at the door staring at Qin Feiyong. Her face was full of anger and killing intent. Seeing this, Old Man Snakeskin next to her couldn't help but gloat. But Qin Feiyong was very calm, and without the slightest fear, he said with a smile, "Senior, I know you miss me very much, but you don't have to be so excited." Old Man Snakeskin immediately staggered and fell flat on his face. Was there something wrong with this person's brain? How dare he flirt with the lady? Looking at Old Man Snakeskin's embarrassed appearance, the anger in the beautiful woman's heart rose. She shouted, "Useless trash, get out!" Old Man Snakeskin's body trembled, and he hurriedly rolled and crawled downstairs. Then, the beautiful woman looked at Qin Feiyong with a bone-chilling gaze, and said, "You still dare to come back?" Qin Feiyong said with a faint smile, "I didn't do anything wrong, why wouldn't I dare to come back?" Finished. Without waiting for the beautiful woman to speak, he walked into the beautiful woman's room and glanced around. After so many years, the layout here hadn't changed much. The beautiful woman frowned, turned around and looked at Qin Feiyong, and said, "Then that year, why did you run away?" The leaders of the three tribes, the city lord of Sky Thunder City, and the tower master of Pill Tower, all wanted to destroy me. How could I not run away? Qin Feiyong smiled bitterly. Is that so? But why do I remember that you were already out of danger at that time? The beautiful woman's gaze was unkind. What a difficult woman. Qin Feiyong couldn't help but have a headache, and said helplessly, "Well, I admit at that time we chose to run away, was indeed to get rid of your control." The beautiful woman said, "I'm afraid this is only one aspect." Qin Feiyong was startled and asked suspiciously, Senior, why do you say that? Don't play dumb with me, you're not from the Forgotten Land at all. According to my speculation, the reason you came to the Forgotten Land last time should be for the flame of heavenly thunder. Am I wrong? The beautiful woman said. Qin Feiyang's pupils contracted. This woman's brain was terrifying, right? Tell me, who exactly are you? What is your purpose in coming to the Forgotten Land this time? The beautiful woman said. Then can you tell me, who are you? You have to know, even the imperial capital of the Great Qin Empire doesn't have many perfect battle arts. But back then you gave us 7 perfect battle arts. 7 perfect battle arts, what kind of concept is that? I think your background must not be simple either. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed slightly and asked back. You still remember that I gave you 7 perfect battle arts, such a great kindness, and you're repaying me like this? The beautiful woman was so angry that she laughed. Of course we haven't forgotten your great kindness, otherwise, I wouldn't have come to visit you as soon as I came to the Forgotten Land. Qin Feiyang smiled. The beautiful woman's face darkened, and she said angrily, Stop talking nonsense, answer my question. All right. I'll tell you the truth. This time I came to the Forgotten Land for the flame of heavenly thunder. As for my identity, I'm just a nobody, there's no need to talk about it. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Really? The beautiful woman looked at him suspiciously. More real than a pearl. Qin Feiyang nodded. The beautiful woman pondered for a while and nodded. All right, I'll believe you for now, but you didn't come to visit me just to see me, right? Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly. I really can't hide anything from Senior's eyes. Actually, I came to ask for Senior's help. I can't help you. Because now, I don't want to be enemies with the Pill Tower. The beautiful woman said with a hint of fear in her tone. Qin Feiyang was a little puzzled. That year, this person was able to save them from the Tower Master's hands, which was enough to show that her strength was not weaker than the Tower Master. Since she had such strength, what was there to be afraid of? The beautiful woman did not explain and said, I also advise you to give up on the idea of snatching the flame of heavenly thunder, because it will bring you endless trouble. Qin Feiyang frowned. The beautiful woman said, Believe me, I'm not trying to scare you. This. Qin Feiyang hesitated for a moment and smiled. Let me think about it. Oh right, there's one more thing that I need Senior's help with. What is it? The beautiful woman was puzzled. Qin Feiyang's mind moved, and a cluster of pill fire appeared. It was the cluster of 5th grade pill fire that he snatched from the pill hall. Ah, 5th grade pill fire. The beautiful woman was quite surprised. Qin Feiyang said calmly, Senior, can you help me erase the blood contract inside? Let me see. The beautiful woman waved her hand, and battle qi gushed out, rushing towards the pill fire. This blood contract. Immediately, a look of shock appeared on the beautiful woman's face. Swish! She raised her head to look at Qin Feiyang and asked, Who is the original owner of this pill fire? Qin Feiyang said vaguely, An expert that I can't afford to offend. You can't afford to offend him, and you even snatched the pill fire from him? The beautiful woman looked at him in disbelief. I'm lucky. Qin Feiyang smiled embarrassedly. Luck? I don't believe that you have such good luck. This blood contract, I can erase it, but I have a condition. The beautiful woman said. What? It can be erased. Qin Feiyang was secretly shocked. One had to know. The owner of this cluster of pill fire was the Hall Master of the Divine Palace Pill Hall. This person's cultivation had definitely surpassed the Battle Master. Since the beautiful woman was so confident, could it be that she was even stronger than the Hall Master of the Pill Hall? He began to regret. If he knew that the beautiful woman was so ridiculously strong, he wouldn't have come back even if he was beaten to death. After calming down a little from the shock in his heart, he asked, What conditions? The beautiful woman said. Continue to follow me. This. Qin Feiyang hesitated for a while and nodded. That's not a problem. The family behind Mu Qing was scary and mysterious. If he was alone, he might not be able to find anything. If he had the beautiful woman's help, he might be able to get twice the result with half the effort. At the very least, even if the beautiful woman couldn't help much in this matter, she could still protect him at the crucial moment. That meant that he had a strong backer. Don't agree too early. I have a condition from before, you must be controlled by the slave seal. The beautiful woman said. This kid was too cunning. If there wasn't the slave seal, the situation a few years ago might happen again. After hearing that, Qin Feiyong instantly frowned. The reason why the old snakeskin and the muscular man were so loyal to the beautiful woman was because they were controlled by the slave seal. Moreover, he still remembered clearly that the beautiful woman said that once one was controlled by the slave seal, she could kill someone from 1,000 miles away with just a thought. In other words, as long as one was controlled by the slave seal, no matter where one ran, they wouldn't be able to escape from the beautiful woman's palm. Qin Feiyong waved his hand and kept the alchemy fire. He shook his head and said, I'm sorry, I don't like being controlled. After that, Qin Feiyong turned around and left without hesitation. And he ran away in a hurry. In the past, he only felt that the woman was strong but not scary. However, when he heard that this person could actually erase the blood contract in the alchemy fire, he immediately realized that this was an existence that he couldn't afford to offend. However, unexpectedly, the beautiful woman didn't stop him. She just silently watched Qin Feiyong leave. Chapter 744. Qin Feiyong ran out of the hall as if he was running for his life. Seeing that the beautiful woman did not chase after him, he could not help but heave a sigh of relief. But immediately after, a trace of suspicion crept into his eyes. If the beautiful woman forced him to stay, he would not have a chance to escape. He might not even be able to enter the castle. But why did she not stop him? He came out alive? At the same time, seeing Qin Feiyong run out unscathed, the burly man and the others were surprised. Are you disappointed? Qin Feiyong smiled disdainfully and rushed into the sky without looking back. Qin Feiyong, how dare you come back? But suddenly a furious roar filled with resentment sounded from below. Before the voice finished, a middle-aged man in a tiger fur coat rushed into the sky with a monstrous murderous aura. Qin Feiyong was stunned and looked at this person suspiciously. Suddenly, he revealed a look of realization. This person was the Meng family's patriarch, Meng Yiping. Meng Yiping stared at him with resentment and said, Since you're here, don't think about leaving. You? Qin Feiyong smiled coldly. Meng Yiping said, I don't have the strength, but the madam does. Then do you know that I've already met the madam? Qin Feiyong said playfully. Meng Yiping was shocked and lowered his head to look at the burly man and the others. The burly man nodded. That's impossible. The madam clearly said that you're an enemy when she sees you in the future. Why would she let you go? Meng Yiping's eyes were filled with disbelief. Whoosh! It was also at this moment that three figures appeared out of thin air above White Fox City. It was Fatso, Wolf King, and the Pangolin. After washing the three major tribes with blood, there was no trace of blood on their bodies. However, because of the previous massacre, they were emitting a shocking murderous aura. Oh, it's quite lively. The Pangolin chuckled and landed beside Qin Feiyong. He looked at Meng Yiping and said in surprise, You're not dead yet? Meng Yiping's face sank. It really is as the old saying goes. Good people don't live long, but disasters live for 1,000 years. However, since I'm here, I'll be a good person and send you off. Killing intent flashed across the pangolin's eyes as it stretched out its claws, releasing a roaring battle chi. Don't attack. Qin Feiyong's expression changed and he hurriedly stopped the pangolin. But it was too late. Meng Yiping was killed on the spot by the battle chi, and not even his corpse was left behind. All that was left was a blood-curdling scream that reverberated between heaven and earth for a long time. Qin Feiyong was stunned. He looked at the pangolin angrily and said, What are you doing? Are you addicted to killing? The pangolin was stunned. It looked at Qin Feiyong in confusion and asked, Can't I kill it? Previously, when it saw Qin Feiyong and Meng Yiping confronting each other in the air, it thought that Qin Feiyong and the madam had completely fallen out. Therefore, it killed Meng Yiping without saying a word. But now, looking at Qin Feiyong's reaction, it didn't seem to be the case. Of course not. Qin Feiyong glared at it angrily and immediately opened a portal. Let's go. He anxiously shouted and rushed toward the portal. Bang! However, before he could enter the portal, a terrifying pressure erupted from the large dot below. In an instant, That oppressive aura swept across the sky, firmly imprisoning the few of them in the air. What a strong pressure. What's the situation? Fatso and Wolf King were surprised. Whoosh! Then, accompanied by the sound of something breaking through the air, the beautiful woman rushed out of the hall and landed in front of Qin Feiyong and the others. Her face was full of anger. This pressure is hers? Fatso, Wolf King, and the pangolin's eyes almost popped out. They had long guessed that this woman was very strong, but they didn't expect her to be so ridiculously strong. They had to be clear. Right now, they had already opened the 5th level of the Gate of Potential, and the pressure of the War Master could hardly restrain them. Unless it was a war sage. Qin Feiyong's face was also ashen and said, "Now that you know, why didn't I let you kill Meng Yiping? Why didn't you say so earlier?" The pangolin was furious. Qin Feiyong said angrily, "I wanted to say it, but did you give me the chance?" The Wolf King roared anxiously, "Can you all stop talking nonsense? Quickly think of a way." "I have no choice," Qin Feiyong said weakly. This pressure was too strong. Being imprisoned here, they couldn't even enter the castle. What else could they do? Moreover, even if they could enter the castle, as long as this madam stayed here, it would be enough to trap them to death. Qin Feiyong, oh Qin Feiyong, I have already let you go, and I have also let bygones be bygones. I didn't expect that you would actually kill my people. How amazing! Now tell me, how should I deal with you? At the same time, the beautiful woman looked at the 2 men and 2 beasts, her eyes frighteningly cold. Qin Feiyong's heart trembled, and he hurriedly said, "Senior, this is an accident." Yes. An accident. The pangolin, Fatso, and Wolf King also nodded. Accident? The beautiful woman smiled coldly, placed her hands in front of her chest, and quickly formed a seal. Wang! In an instant, 4 palm-sized pentagrams flew out from between her hands. They shone brightly and emitted an obscure aura. This is the enslavement seal. The 2 men and 2 beasts' expressions changed. Wait! Qin Feiyong hurriedly said. What is it? The beautiful woman looked at him coldly. Qin Feiyong said, "Please let them go, just control me." Do you think that's possible? The beautiful woman teased. Qin Feiyong said, "They are all my followers, loyal and devoted. As long as I am controlled, they are also controlled by you." Impossible. The beautiful woman shook her head and refused. And she didn't say any more nonsense. With a wave of her hand, the 4 pentagrams flew towards the top of the heads of the 2 men and 2 beasts. If you don't agree, even if I am controlled by you, I will commit suicide on the spot. Qin Feiyong roared. The beautiful woman frowned and looked deeply at Qin Feiyong. In the end, with a thought, the 3 enslavement seals disintegrated in an instant. All right, I'll do as you wish and let them go. I'll only control you. But in the future, you'd better behave yourself. With that, she waved her hand, and the enslavement seal turned into a stream of light, instantly rushing into the top of Qin Feiyong's head. Previous chapter, next chapter, boom. Immediately, Qin Feiyong's mind seemed to explode with thunder. He felt as if his sea of consciousness was being torn apart. That intense pain caused his body and mind to tremble, and his face to distort. Moreover, although he couldn't see the situation in his sea of consciousness, he could clearly feel that his soul was being devoured by the enslavement seal. Seeing this, Fatso said anxiously, "We can't let boss be controlled by her, Brother Wolf. Can you think of a way?" Wolf King said angrily, "If brother had a way, he would have acted long ago. Why would he wait until now?" The pangolin at the side was full of self-blame. If it wasn't for its recklessness, all of this wouldn't have happened. It was it who harmed Qin Feiyong. At this time, Qin Feiyong suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood, his face pale. Damn it! Fat Lord, fight it out with her. Fatso was so anxious that his eyes turned red and he was about to lose his mind. But at this time, strands of black light suddenly blossomed from Qin Feiyong's forehead. And, immediately, Fatso, Wolf King, the pangolin, and the beautiful woman all looked at the black light in surprise. At the same time, the moment the black light appeared, Qin Feiyong felt that the pain from his sea of consciousness had disappeared. Moreover, he could also sense that there was a mysterious force that trapped the enslavement seal in his sea of consciousness. What's the situation? He was a little stunned. Just when they were puzzled, the beautiful woman's body suddenly trembled, and a trace of blood actually flowed out from the corner of her mouth. And the pressure that trapped Qin Feiyang and the others also disappeared in an instant. What's going on? This sudden situation caused Qin Feiyang and the others to be extremely shocked. How is this possible? I actually suffered a backlash. At the same time, the beautiful woman also looked at Qin Feiyang in shock, as if she had seen a ghost. Haha, this is retribution. Fatso and Wolf King suddenly laughed out loud. Although they didn't understand what was going on, seeing the beautiful woman suffer a big loss made them feel very happy. What are you laughing at? Run! Qin Feiyang secretly shouted. Fatso quivered and immediately opened another teleportation door. Then the two men and two beasts fled for their lives. By the time the beautiful woman came back to her senses, they had already been teleported away. Damn it! The beautiful woman's face was gloomy as she shouted. You two come up. Old Man Snakeskin and the burly man looked at each other and hurriedly soared into the sky, standing respectfully in front of the beautiful woman. They should be going to Sky Thunder City. You two immediately go to Sky Thunder City and guard it. Once you find their whereabouts, immediately report to me. In addition, they might change their appearance. When you reach Sky Thunder City, immediately release the news. At that time, the people of Sky Thunder City will naturally use the Heaven's Eye Stone to investigate. The beautiful woman said. Yes. The two respectfully replied and opened the teleportation door to leave. Originally, I saw that you had some value and wanted to keep you, but I didn't expect you to have the ability to resist my slave seal. Looks like I have to kill you. The beautiful woman looked at the teleportation door that disappeared and muttered to herself. Her eyes flashed with shocking killing intent. Glacier Forest. Above an ice mountain, Qin Feiyang and the rest appeared out of thin air. They all had a frightened look. A moment later, the pangolin walked to Qin Feiyang and lowered his head. I'm sorry. I'm the one who harmed you. If you want to hit or scold me, just come. I won't fight back. Then I'll really hit you? Qin Feiyang frowned and said with a straight face. Hit me. The pangolin nodded. Looking at the pangolin's face, Qin Feiyang couldn't help but find it funny. He shook his head and said, forget it. Take this as a lesson. Remember not to be so reckless in the future. Then he added, at the end of the day, this is actually my fault. If I didn't insist on meeting her, this wouldn't have happened. The pangolin was stunned and smiled. Thank you. Qin Feiyang waved his hand. Fatso asked, Boss, Fat Lord is puzzled. Why do you insist on meeting her? This woman is mysterious and unpredictable. For us, she's always a hidden danger. So I want to see her attitude and test her strength. Who would have thought that something like this would happen? Qin Feiyang was quite distressed. Chapter 745. But fortunately there was no danger. But here came the question. Just now, what was the black light that emerged from the glabella? Qin Feiyang touched the glabella and didn't find anything strange. Fatso and Wolf King also looked at Qin Feiyang's glabella suspiciously. That time, when the slave seal entered Qin Feiyang's skull, they were almost desperate. But they didn't expect that at the critical moment, a black light would suddenly appear, not only resisting the slave seal's devouring, but also causing the beautiful woman to suffer a backlash. Wasn't this too bizarre? Qin Feiyang pondered for a moment, and suddenly his eyes were filled with surprise. Could it be the ancient castle? Because only the ancient castle was stored in the glabella. Thinking of this, Qin Feiyang's mind moved, and the ancient castle rushed out from the glabella. It was palm-sized, dark all over, and exuded an ancient aura. But next to the ancient castle there was something else. This was a pentagram, imprisoned by wisps of black light. It was the slave seal. Did the ancient castle really help me? Qin Feiyang was extremely surprised. All along, the impression that the ancient castle gave him was just a space treasure that could be used to hide. But he didn't expect it to have such a terrifying power. It seemed that, as Lu Xingchen said, this ancient castle was not as simple as it seemed on the surface. At the same time, Fatso, Wolf King, and the pangolin also stared at the ancient castle and the slave seal, full of disbelief. After a while, everyone came back to their senses. Fatty immediately asked in confusion, Boss, why do you think this ancient castle would imprison the enslavement seal? I don't know. Qin Feiyong shook his head and raised his hand to touch the slave seal tentatively. As a result, he was shocked to find that this slave seal gave him a sense of familiarity. What's going on? Qin Feiyong frowned. But just when he was puzzled, the ancient castle with the slave seal took the initiative to rush into Qin Feiyong's glabella. Following closely, Qin Feiyong felt a huge amount of information surging into his mind. This is, immediately. His gaze shook, and then he hurriedly sat down cross-legged in space and closed his eyes. His expression gradually fell into a peaceful state. At first glance, it looked as if it had fallen into a deep slumber. What's going on? Fatso and Wolf King looked at each other. They had no idea what Qin Feiyong was doing. The pangolin whispered, "Do you want to ask?" "Don't." Fatso stretched out his hand to stop it and said in a low voice, "Boss' current situation should be related to the enslavement seal. It's best that we don't disturb him, yes. If there is any danger, he will definitely ask us for help." Wolf King nodded. Next, Fatso and Wolf King stood around Qin Feiyong, protecting Qin Feiyong. Originally, they thought that Qin Feiyong would wake up soon, but as the days passed, Qin Feiyong showed no signs of waking up. What's going on? The pangolin couldn't help but start to worry. Don't worry. Looking at his smooth breathing and stable aura, it shouldn't be like some kind of hidden danger. Fatso looked up and down at Qin Feiyong and whispered. Finally, seeing that Qin Feiyong hadn't woken up, they all sat cross-legged in the air and began to cultivate. Time flew by. A month passed. Early in the morning, Qin Feiyong, who had been motionless, suddenly raised his hands and placed them in front of his chest to form a seal. His movements were very complicated, and his speed was very slow. But as time passed, his speed became faster and faster, and there was an obscure aura that spread out from his hands. No one knew how much time had passed. Buzz! Finally, the void twisted and a palm-sized pentagram appeared between his hands, radiating a dazzling light. Hearing the commotion, Fatso and Wolf King opened their eyes one after another. When they saw the pentagram, their eyes widened. Wasn't this the slavery seal? Qin Feiyong could actually form the slavery seal. Was this a joke? Swoosh! Right at this moment, Qin Feiyong suddenly opened his eyes and two beams of light burst out. Fatso asked in surprise, "Boss, what's going on? How do you know the slavery seal?" Qin Feiyong looked at Fatso and lowered his head to look at the slavery seal floating in front of him with a hint of shock in his eyes. A moment later, with a wave of his hand, the slavery seal dissipated. He looked at Fatso and Wolf King and smiled. "This is all thanks to the castle." The man and the two beasts were even more puzzled. Qin Feiyong asked, "How long has it been?" Fatso said, "A month." "So fast?" Qin Feiyong frowned. Wolf King urged impatiently, Hey, little Qinzi, don't keep us in suspense, okay?" Qin Feiyong smiled faintly and said, "Do you remember a month ago, the castle took the initiative to rush into my glabella with the slavery seal?" The man and the two beasts nodded. "After the castle and the slavery seal entered my glabella, I immediately felt a huge amount of information pouring into my mind." At this point, Qin Feiyong smiled mysteriously and said, "Take a guess. What do you think the contents of this information are?" "Slavery seal?" Wolf King raised his eyebrows and asked. "Yes, it's the slavery seal. And it's the cultivation method of the slavery seal, as well as the method to break it," Qin Feiyong said. "What?" Hearing it, Fatso and Wolf King were dumbfounded. Qin Feiyong continued, "At that time, I also felt that it was inconceivable, so I immediately comprehended it. I didn't expect that I would really succeed." The man and the two beasts looked at each other. What Qin Feiyong said, in their eyes, felt like a fantasy story. It was too unreal. Fatso asked, "Then what exactly is this slavery seal?" The slavery seal is to forcefully control a person's soul and sign a master and servant contract. And once the soul is controlled, unless the master takes the initiative to remove it, the slavery seal will remain for the rest of your life. But the slavery seal also has a fatal flaw, and that is that it can only control creatures of the same realm as itself, as well as creatures of a lower cultivation base than itself. For example, I can only control people below the 4-star War Master level. Qin Feiyang said. What if their cultivation base is higher than yours? Wolf King asked. If their cultivation base is higher than mine, they will suffer from a backlash. And the higher the other party's cultivation base, the more serious the backlash will be. It will even hurt my own soul. Qin Feiyang said. Fatso said. In that case, the slavery seal is actually a double-edged sword? That's right. But as long as you successfully control the other party, you will be a slave for life. Qin Feiyang nodded and smiled. TSK. I didn't expect this castle to be so powerful. Fatso was speechless. Yeah, I didn't expect the castle to have this ability either. Actually, the slavery seal is very profound, but the castle seems to have broken it down. Many complicated things have become very simple. Without its help, I'm afraid that even after a few more years, I wouldn't be able to comprehend it. As Qin Feiyang said this with a thought, the castle appeared once again. Looking at the castle, the two men and the two beasts sighed. Wolf King said with a sneaky smile, speaking of which, we can be considered to have profited from a disaster this time. That's right. That woman definitely wouldn't have dreamed that boss would be able to control the slavery seal so easily. Fatso chuckled. He really wanted to tell that woman now and see what kind of expression she would have. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly, put away the castle and said, Let's go, it's time to go to Sky Thunder City. Fatso was stunned and said in surprise, You really plan to snatch the Sky Thunder Flame? If there's a chance, I definitely won't miss it. But my main goal is still Mu Qing. Qin Feiyang said. What does this have to do with Mu Qing? Wolf King was puzzled. Of course it has something to do with it. Think about it, since Mu Qing has such a terrifying family background, why did he go to the pill tower back then? Qin Feiyang said. Fatso said in realization. That's right, back then, he and Mu Xue'er entered the pill tower with you. And with his family background, there's indeed no need to enter the pill tower. So, he must have entered the pill tower back then with some purpose. We can follow this clue and find him. I believe that we will be able to find him sooner or later. Qin Feiyang sneered, a cold light flashing in his eyes. Sky Thunder City. Outside the city, wind and snow covered, and the cold current was bone-piercing. However, it was warm inside the city. All of this was because of the Sky Thunder Flame. The heat emitted by the heavenly thunder flame prevented the cold currents from invading. This city, which was not very big, was like a paradise. However, this paradise was currently in an uproar. Just a month ago, not long after Fatso and Wolf King massacred the three major tribes, this matter spread in Sky Thunder City. In addition to being shocked, everyone was speculating who massacred the three major tribes. Because of this matter, the city lord of Sky Thunder City even personally went to the three major tribes to investigate. But after a round of investigation, he did not find anything suspicious in the ruins of the three major tribes. But not long after, a piece of news suddenly came from Sky Thunder City. Qin Feiyang was back. Hearing this name, everyone in the Sky Thunder City instantly boiled over. Of course they remembered this name, and it was hard to forget. Even for most people, the three words Qin Feiyang was a nightmare. And after the city lord learned of this matter, he immediately ordered to strictly investigate everyone who entered and left the city. At the same time, he was also looking forward to Qin Feiyang's arrival, because the debt from back then had not been settled yet. Moreover, he was already suspecting that the people who massacred the three major tribes might be Qin Feiyang's group. In the sky outside the city, goose-feather heavy snow floated. The ground was covered in white snow. A young man wearing tiger skin walked alone on a small path outside the city. He was about 1.75 meters tall, his body was thin, his appearance was very ordinary, and his aura was not strong. Even if someone brushed past him, they would not take a second look at him. But if one observed carefully, they would find that this person's eyes were deep, revealing a kind of sharpness that ordinary people could not compare to. And at the same time, this young man also turned a blind eye to the pedestrians coming and going. He curiously looked at the surrounding scenery with a faint smile on his face. However, when this young man saw the situation at the city gate, his pupils shrank slightly with a trace of surprise. Outside the city gate, there was a long line of hundreds of people. And on both sides of the city gate, there were more than 10 guards, each of them holding a heaven's eye stone. Chapter 746. What's going on? The young man couldn't help but stop and look at the city gate suspiciously. Suddenly, the young man grabbed the arm of a burly man and asked doubtfully, "Brother, what happened in Sky Thunder City? Why is the security so tight?" This burly man had just come out of the city. Hearing the young man's question, the burly man was stunned and asked, "You're not from Sky Thunder City?" "No." The young man laughed. "No wonder you don't know." The burly man nodded in realization and asked again, "Then have you heard of Qin Feiyang?" "Qin Feiyang?" The young man pondered for a moment and shook his head. "No." "What? You haven't even heard of Qin Feiyang?" The burly man was slightly stunned. He looked at the young man's eyes with a trace of contempt. Seeing this, the young man touched his nose and looked at the burly man suspiciously. He asked, "Brother, is this Qin Feiyang very famous?" "Nonsense. Those guards are making such a big fuss because of this Qin Feiyang. Do you think he's famous?" The burly man said disdainfully. Hearing this, the young man raised his eyebrows and said in a low voice, "Brother, can you tell me in detail? I don't have time to talk nonsense with you. If you want to know, go ask someone else." The burly man glanced at the young man coldly and turned to leave. Looking at the back of the burly man, the young man frowned and turned to look at the city gate. "For me? Could it be that they already know that I was the one who massacred the 3 tribes? The young man muttered. "That's right. This person was Qin Feiyang." As for Fatso and Wolf King, they were both in seclusion in the castle. Before he came to the Sky Thunder City, he had considered many factors, so he changed his appearance. But he didn't expect that they would use the Heaven's Eye Stone to check. Now, it was obviously impossible to enter from the city gate. However, don't forget that he had stayed in Sky Thunder City before and knew the coordinates of the city. Immediately, he turned and strode away, walking into a small forest. Then, he opened the portal and appeared in front of the Spring Rain Inn. Qin Feiyang was no stranger to Spring Rain Inn. He remembered that when he first came to Sky Thunder City, it was the Pill Pagoda's assessment and all the restaurants in Sky Thunder City were full. At that time he couldn't find a restaurant to stay in. Coincidentally, he met Mu Qing and her sister here. Mu Qing even invited him to stay with them. But he didn't agree. After all these years, the Spring Rain brothel hadn't changed much. The only difference was that it wasn't as lively as before. Qin Feiyang raised his head and looked at the plaque above the door. Then he strode in. The Spring Rain brothel wasn't very big, and there were only about 20 or so tables in the main hall. There were a few scattered tables of guests, who were drinking and chatting. However, there were still many private rooms upstairs. Under the lead of the waiter, Qin Feiyang walked to a table in the corner. "Young master, what do you need?" the waiter asked. Qin Feiyang said, "Give me 2 side dishes and a pot of wine." "All right." The shop assistant yelled, turned around and ran away. Qin Feiyang calmed down and listened to the discussions of the people at the other tables. In the beginning, the people at those tables were talking about some unimportant topics. But suddenly, a middle-aged man at one of the tables frowned and said, "Do you think that Qin Feiyang is really back?" The moment they heard the name Qin Feiyang, the others immediately quieted down. A moment later, a young man said, "I think it's already true. If it's true, then Sky Thunder City will probably be in chaos again." "That's right. Back then, this person used his monstrous talent in alchemy to suppress countless geniuses and become the last disciple of the Pagoda Master. Later on, he even looted the treasure trove and pill fire of the 3 great tribes. He can be said to be famous." For a moment, everyone began to discuss. This time, the waiter walked over with 2 plates of side dishes, a pair of bowls and chopsticks, a wine pot and a wine cup, and placed them in front of Qin Feiyang. "Young master, this is the wine and dishes you ordered. Please enjoy." The waiter gave a flattering smile and left again. Qin Feiyang picked up the wine pot and quietly poured himself a drink. "I'm just wondering, with this person's talent and ability, it can be said that his future is limitless, but why would he do such a thing? Are you stupid?" Suddenly, a voice full of puzzlement sounded. "That's right. If he hadn't done those things back then, the Pagoda Master and the City Lord wouldn't have killed him. What a pity. But what puzzles me the most is that why did he come back? Could it be that he already has the strength to contend with the pagoda master? Don't joke around. It's only been a few years since he escaped. How could he become so strong? What's more, what kind of existence is the pagoda master? Even if he is given a few more years, it's impossible for him to become an expert at the same level as the pagoda master. Yes, not to mention the pagoda master, even the city lord can easily kill him. The discussion at those tables became louder and louder. In the end, even the waiter of the restaurant couldn't help but chime in a few times. As for Qin Feiyang, he kept his head down and drank silently. Time passed by little by little. When it was noon, the number of guests in the restaurant increased, and it became lively. Without exception, they were all talking about this matter. But in this morning, Qin Feiyang didn't get any valuable information. He didn't wait any longer. He took out more than 10 gold coins, threw them on the table, and got up to leave the city lord's mansion. During this period of time, this place was also heavily guarded. Each of the guards held a halberd, standing straight like an iron pine. Anyone who saw a suspicious person would be stopped by them for questioning. At this moment, Qin Feiyang was standing in front of the gate of the city lord's mansion. The 4 guards on both sides of the gate looked at him vigilantly. Seeing this, Qin Feiyang couldn't help laughing. He was not a devil who ate people without spitting out the bones. Was it necessary to be so nervous when they heard that he was back? Ahem. With a dry cough, Qin Feiyang cupped his hands and said, I'm Wang Hao. I have something to discuss with the city lord. Please inform him. What's the matter with the city lord? One of the guards frowned. Qin Feiyang said calmly, I found traces of Qin Feiyang outside the city earlier. What? He really came back. The 4 guards suddenly changed color. Come with me quickly. After coming back to his senses, one of them immediately turned around and ran into the city lord's mansion. Qin Feiyang shook his head with a smile and strode after him. A moment later, a magnificent hall came into Qin Feiyang's sight. There were sentries every 3 steps around the hall. Even a fly couldn't fly in. The leader of the group was a burly man who was dressed differently from the guards. The other guards were all wearing beast-skin coats, but this person was wearing a long black robe made of cloth. The aura he exuded was far beyond that of the other guards. He was a 9-star war emperor, and this person was no stranger to Qin Feiyang. He was the guard commander of Sky Thunder City. Strange. Qin Feiyang glanced at them one by one. Looking at this formation, it didn't seem to be guarding against him. When Qin Feiyang and the guard approached, the guard commander glanced at Qin Feiyang, then looked at the guard who led the way and asked, Who is he? The guard hurriedly said, His name is Wang Hao. He said that he found traces of Qin Feiyang outside the city. And the guard commander was shocked. He quickly looked at Qin Feiyang and asked, Really? Absolutely. Qin Feiyang nodded. The guard commander's pupils contracted as he said in a low voice, The city lord is currently trying to break through to the 2-star war master. He should be done soon. Wait a moment. Breakthrough. Qin Feiyang was slightly startled, then nodded and said, All right. Only now did he understand that these people were protecting the city lord. Boom. After about 100 breaths of time, a powerful aura suddenly rushed out from the main hall. The guard commander's face immediately revealed a trace of joy. Not long after, the door opened and a middle-aged man strode out. His entire body was filled with an imposing aura. He wore a fitting white robe with white hair at his temples, giving off a feeling of vicissitudes of life. He stood there, his long hair fluttering in the wind, imperceptibly emitting an extremely strong oppressive force. Congratulations, city lord. The guard commander and the others all bowed and exclaimed. The city lord nodded and said with a smile, Thank you for your hard work. With that, he looked at the guard commander and asked, Is there any news about Qin Feiyang? Yes. The guard commander nodded, pointed at Qin Feiyang and said, Sir, he found traces of Qin Feiyang outside the city. Where is it? The city lord immediately looked at Qin Feiyang and asked. Qin Feiyang said, It's in a forest not too far away. The city lord was overjoyed and anxiously said, All right, bring me there immediately. Yes. Qin Feiyang respectfully replied and immediately opened a teleportation gate. The city lord also immediately walked towards the teleportation gate. The guard commander hurriedly asked, "Sir, do you want this subordinate to go and help?" "No need." Back then when Qin Feiyang escaped, he was only a war king. Now that only 6 years have passed, he is at most a war emperor. With this city lord's strength as a 2-star war master, taking him down is as easy as flipping my hand. The city lord laughed disdainfully and walked into the teleportation gate without looking back. As easy as flipping your hand, Qin Feiyang muttered to himself. A light flashed in the depths of his eyes, and he also stepped into the teleportation gate. Above a glacier, Qin Feiyang and the city lord appeared one after another. Scanning the glacier below, the city lord's eyes immediately revealed a trace of bewilderment. Qin Feiyang crossed his arms in front of his chest and said with a faint smile, "Are you thinking right now why haven't you seen this place before?" The city lord frowned and turned to look at Qin Feiyang suspiciously. Qin Feiyang said, "This is not outside Sky Thunder City, but the Glacier Forest." "Glacier Forest?" The city lord was slightly startled and asked in confusion, "Why did you bring me here?" Qin Feiyang said, "Answer my question first. Do you really want to kill Qin Feiyang that much?" "Humph! This child has committed a heinous crime. He deserves to be killed." The city lord coldly snorted. "Is that so? I'm afraid you can't kill him now, because the current him is stronger than you." Chapter 747. This aura is so strong. The city lord's expression changed, and he retreated without hesitation. The corner of Qin Feiyang's mouth lifted slightly. He stepped on the phantom steps and instantly appeared behind the city lord. Following closely, he raised his arm and slapped the city lord's back. Puff! The city lord immediately spat out a mouthful of blood. He lost his balance and shot forward. Shua! Qin Feiyang used the phantom steps again and chased after him like lightning, stepping on the city lord's back again. Ah! Accompanied by a blood-curdling scream, the city lord smashed into the glacier below like a meteorite. Kacha! The glacier within a radius of several miles was instantly razed to the ground, turning into ruins. Whiz! At the same time, Qin Feiyang also turned into a ray of light and landed on top of the ruins. The city lord was lying weakly in a deep pit, his entire body dripping with blood. Qin Feiyang said indifferently, "Do you know why I attacked you?" "Why?" The city lord crawled up with difficulty and looked at Qin Feiyang in confusion. "Because..." Qin Feiyang took out a facial restoration pill and placed it in his mouth. In the blink of an eye, his true appearance would be restored. Looking at that mature and determined face, the city lord's eyes almost popped out. How is this possible? It's only been a few years, but your cultivation has actually... Whether it was his face or his eyes, they were filled with disbelief. "Nothing is impossible when it comes to me." Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. The city lord's gaze trembled as he said in shock, "In such a short period of time, you broke through from the War King to the 3-star war sect. How did you do it?" Qin Feiyang said, "It's not a 3-star war sect, it's a 4-star war sect." 4-star war sect. When the city lord heard this, it was as if a bolt of lightning had exploded in his mind, rumbling loudly. No wonder even he didn't have any power to resist. It turned out that his cultivation was so strong. "As for how I did it, that has nothing to do with you. Right now, you only need to answer a few questions of mine." Qin Feiyang said. "What question?" the city lord asked, his eyes filled with fear. "Pagoda master, do you have a pill pagoda now?" Qin Feiyang said. The city lord's pupils constricted as he asked in bewilderment, inquiring about the pagoda master's whereabouts. "What do you want to do?" Qin Feiyang's eyes turned cold as he said, "You are not qualified to ask questions now." The city lord shrunk his neck and said, "The tower master is not in the pill tower right now." "Not here." Qin Feiyang frowned and asked, "Where is she now?" "I don't know either. She will only appear when it's time to recruit disciples. Once the disciples are sent out of the pill tower, she will leave again." The city lord shook his head. Qin Feiyang frowned. Judging from the city lord's words, why did the pill tower sound like a temporary office? Why would he leave after finishing his business? Qin Feiyang's face darkened. Do you really not know, or are you pretending not to know? I really don't know. The city lord roared anxiously. Qin Feiyang looked at the city lord for a moment and did not find any trace of lying. He said, Then is there no one in the pill tower now? Yes, the people who entered the pill tower with you back then have all been sent out. The city lord nodded. Good opportunity. Qin Feiyang's eyes lit up. As long as the tower master was not in the pill tower, the heavenly thunder flame would be his. However, if he took away the heavenly thunder flame, would this clue of Mu Qing be cut off? Thinking of this, Qin Feiyang looked at the city lord and asked, Do you know a person named Mu Qing? Mu Qing? The city lord was slightly stunned. After thinking carefully for a moment, he said, The person who entered the pill tower with you back then? Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. I know. Although his alchemy talent is not as good as yours, he is still considered one of the best. The city lord said. Qin Feiyang said, The answer I want is not this but his background. The city lord shook his head and said, I don't know about this. You have to ask the tower master. Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows and said, Then it seems that there is no use in keeping you. Heard of it? The city lord's expression changed and he hurriedly said, Don't kill me. I will do whatever you want me to do. Is that so? Then if I ask you to go and get the heavenly thunder flame for me, do you dare to go? Qin Feiyang looked at him mockingly. This. The city lord's expression stiffened. The owner of the heavenly thunder flame was the tower master of the pill tower. After being together for so long, he knew the tower master's strength better than anyone else. It was no exaggeration to say that even if he was a 2-star combat grandmaster, he would not be a match for the tower master. Therefore, even if he borrowed courage from the heavens, he would not dare to touch the heavenly thunder flame. Furthermore, now that the pill tower was in a closed state, even if he wanted to, he could not enter at all. This was because the stone door of the pill tower required the blood of the tower master to open. In the end, you are still worthless, Qin Feiyang said. He slowly raised his arm and battle aura surged at his fingertips. Please don't kill me. Can I be your slave? The city lord was terrified and directly knelt on the ground and begged. He had just broken through to 2-star combat grandmaster, and did not even have the time to enjoy the pleasure brought by strength. He was unwilling to die just like that. Looking down at this person, Qin Feiyang's eyes flickered. Suddenly, his heart stirred and he slowly lowered his raised arm. Seeing this, the city lord was pleasantly surprised. Was he not planning to kill him? Not long ago, I mastered a very powerful ability. I will use you as an experiment. Qin Feiyang suddenly grinned and formed a seal with both hands in front of his chest. Buzz! In less than 3 breaths, a palm-sized pentagram appeared. It was the slavery seal. As Qin Feiyang waved his hand, the slavery seal rushed into the city lord's head like lightning. Immediately, the city lord revealed a pained expression as he hugged his head and howled miserably. But very soon, he stopped screaming. At the same time, Qin Feiyang also clearly sensed that he had already controlled the city lord's soul. What did you do to me? The city lord suddenly raised his head and looked at Qin Feiyang. His eyes filled with shock and bewilderment. Slavery seal, Qin Feiyang said indifferently. With a slight thought, the city lord immediately screamed again. His face was distorted and looked incomparably ferocious. Damn it! What the hell is this? My head hurts so much. The city lord roared hysterically, feeling as if his head was about to split into 4 or 5 pieces. But this intense pain disappeared in the blink of an eye. Although it was only in the blink of an eye, the city lord felt as if he had experienced 10,000 years of pain. His entire body was already drenched in sweat. The slavery seal can control the soul. Now, no matter where you are, no matter how many years have passed between us, as long as I think about it, I can make you die on the spot. Moreover, I can also see through your thoughts, Qin Feiyang said. Hearing this, the city lord collapsed to the ground on the spot, his face pale. Remember, don't do anything to betray me. After all, to me you have no value at all. It doesn't matter whether I keep you or not. Qin Feiyang said indifferently. The city lord quivered and hurriedly knelt on the ground, saying, Thank you, master, for not killing me. Qin Feiyong nodded and said, "Go back now and pretend that nothing happened." "Heavenly thunder flame?" the city lord asked cautiously. Qin Feiyong said, "I need to think about it again. If I really decide to snatch the heavenly thunder flame, you have to pretend to stop me." "Understood." The city lord nodded. Qin Feiyong said again, "Take out the image crystal and establish a contract bridge. If there is any news in the future, it will be convenient to inform me." "Yes," the city lord replied respectfully. After he took out the image crystal and established a contract bridge with Qin Feiyong, he said respectfully, "Then I will go back first. By the way, when you go back, investigate Mu Qing's background for me." Qin Feiyong said, "Okay." The city lord nodded respectfully, then opened a portal and left quickly. Qin Feiyong also lowered his head and fell into deep thought. It was not worth it to lose the clue of Mu Qing in order to snatch the heavenly thunder flame. But the problem was, would Mu Qing come back again? After thinking about it again and again, Qin Feiyong finally decided to wait. He would wait for the next Pill Pagoda assessment and see how it goes. Swish. He flashed and entered the ancient castle and began to copy the third stroke of the kill formula. Strength could solve everything. Whether it was in the Forgotten Land or the Great Qin Empire, his current strength was far from enough. And according to his speculation, the situation in the Forgotten Land might be more complicated than the Great Qin Empire. The City Lord Mansion. As soon as the City Lord returned, the guard commander asked, "Sir, where is Qin Feiyong?" The City Lord said, "He ran away." "What? He can escape from your hands?" The guard commander was very shocked. "He didn't escape from my hands. After I went there, there was no trace of him. I don't know where he is hiding now." The City Lord said, "So that's how it is." The guard commander was suddenly enlightened and secretly heaved a sigh of relief. If he really escaped from the City Lord's hands, it would be too shocking. "Okay, I'm a little tired. I'm going to rest. You also keep an eye on the outside. Once there is news about Qin Feiyong, report to me immediately. In addition, investigate another person. This person is called Mu Qing. I want to know all the details about him. The sooner the better." The City Lord ordered. "Yes." The guard commander nodded in response, then turned and strode away. Sigh. Who did I offend? Who did I offend? The City Lord let out a deep sigh. With a stomach full of resentment, he quickly disappeared from the hall. Time passed in a flash. 3 months passed. Boom! On this day, Qin Feiyong's arm trembled, and the third stroke of the word kill under his fingertips blossomed with a dazzling light. His aura also soared. In the blink of an eye, he had broken through the shackles and reached the level of a 5-star war master. However, compared to the first and second strokes, the third stroke took even longer. If one were to calculate carefully, it would be 3 months and 2 days. As for the next few strokes, it would definitely take a lot of time for him to complete them. However, he was very satisfied. After all, for others, it would take at least a few years or even decades to break through a small realm of the War Master. 5-star War Master. I'm one step closer to the War Saint. Just you wait, I'll be back soon. Chapter 748. Buzz. Soon. The City Lord's shadow appeared and bowed. "Greetings, Master." Qin Feiyong asked. "I asked you to investigate Mu Qing. How is the investigation going?" "I'm sorry, I'm incompetent." The City Lord panicked and hurriedly knelt on the ground. Qin Feiyong raised his eyebrows. "I've sent people to investigate all the tribes within a radius of 10,000 miles. There's no such person as Mu Qing." The City Lord panicked. Qin Feiyong was silent for a while, then asked, "What about the tribes deeper in?" The Forgotten Land was extremely vast, and the Sky Thunder City was not the end. And in the depths there were even more powerful tribes. The City Lord shook his head. "I didn't inquire about the tribes deeper in." "Why not?" Qin Feiyong frowned. "Master might not know, but there is a glacier 1,000 miles away from the Sky Thunder City. According to the City Lord, fierce beasts ran amok in the glacier. With his strength, entering would only lead to death. This was equivalent to saying that this glacier was a dividing line." Qin Feiyong said, "You should know about the tribe on the other side of the glacier, right?" "I've heard of that." There are two large tribes right across the glacier. They are the Wang tribe and the Li tribe. Rumor has it that the population of these two tribes is in the hundreds of thousands, and they both have a 5-star war sect overseeing them, the city lord said truthfully. 5-star war sect. Qin Feiyang pondered for a moment, his eyes revealing a trace of disdain, and asked, how long until the next Pill Pagoda assessment? For months. The city lord thought for a moment and said. Qin Feiyang immediately frowned. He actually had to wait for 4 months? The city lord hesitated for a moment, then carefully asked, Master, there's something I don't know if I should say. Speak. Qin Feiyang said. The city lord said, once when this subordinate was chatting with the pagoda master, she accidentally said something. What did she say? Qin Feiyang was surprised. The city lord said, she said that the Pill Pagoda's power is huge, enough to control the situation of the Forgotten Continent. Qin Feiyang's expression froze. How could a mere pill tower have the power to influence the entire Forgotten Continent? Suddenly, he seemed to have thought of something and asked, other than Sky Thunder City, are there any other Pill Pagodas? Somewhere else? The city lord was stunned. After thinking for a moment, he shook his head and said, I don't know. This subordinate only knows that there is only one pill tower in this region, the Sky Thunder City. After that, the city lord also seemed to have thought of something and said in surprise, Master's meaning is that Sky Thunder City's pill tower might just be a branch of the pill tower? This is the only explanation. Otherwise, the tower master wouldn't dare to say such a thing. Qin Feiyang said. It does seem reasonable. The city lord nodded thoughtfully. If that was the case, then it would be too inconceivable. That's not right. As the Sky Thunder City's city lord, why don't you even know the ins and outs of the pill tower? Qin Feiyang frowned. It was common knowledge that every place had a person who wielded supreme power. For example, in the spiritual state, whether it was the Black Bear City, Yen City, or the Prefecture City, they were all under the jurisdiction of the Palace Lord. The city lords of the various cities were naturally considered subordinates of the Palace Lord. Similarly, above the Sky Thunder City's city lord, there should be even more powerful people in charge. Even if the Sky Thunder City's city lord didn't know, those higher up in power should at least know the ins and outs of the pill tower, right? And the pill tower was located in the city, occupying a place. Shouldn't the person in charge above reveal a thing or two to the Sky Thunder City's city lord? At the very least, the city lord of the Sky Thunder City should know the origins of the pill tower, right? But why was the city lord of the Sky Thunder City unaware? When the city lord heard this, he said respectfully, Master, you may not know this, but this pill tower is very mysterious. It is even older than the Sky Thunder City. After pausing for a moment, the city lord continued, rumor has it that the first-generation city lord had to obtain the consent of the pill tower's pagoda master before establishing the Sky Thunder City. This, Qin Feiyang was a little stunned. Furthermore, the cities of the Forgotten Land are basically built by rogue cultivators like us. They have nothing to do with any tribe or power. The city lord added, I see. Qin Feiyang revealed a look of understanding. If that was the case, then it was not strange that the city lord of the Sky Thunder City did not know the ins and outs of the pill tower. But suddenly, Qin Feiyang realized that he had overlooked a problem and said, You just said that this place is called the Forgotten Land? That's right. Master doesn't know. The city lord nodded and looked at Qin Feiyang suspiciously. Qin Feiyang said, I am not from here, so of course I don't know. In our place, this place is called the Forgotten Land. Forgotten Land? The city lord was stunned and said with a flattering smile, It's only 2 words, not much difference. The difference is huge. Qin Feiyang looked at him indifferently. Although it was only 2 words, the meaning was as different as heaven and earth. The Forgotten Land could be understood as a small place to train and would not be too big. But the continent was different. The continent included many plates and was the general name of a world. This also meant that the Forgotten Continent was a complete world. It could even be an independent big world. Looks like the water here is very deep. Qin Feiyang muttered to himself and calmed down a little. He looked at the city lord and said, Do you know the coordinates of the Li tribe and the Wang tribe? Never been there, I don't know. The city lord shook his head. Qin Feiyang frowned and said, Okay, on the day of the pill tower's examination, remember to send me a message. Also, help me collect the medicinal ingredients for the battle chi pill, the more the better. Finished speaking, he turned off the image crystal. Farewell, master. The city lord respectfully bowed and watched Qin Feiyang's image disappear. Only then did he let out a sigh of relief. But immediately after, his face was filled with bewilderment. If he wasn't from the Forgotten Continent, then where did this mysterious master come from? After Qin Feiyang put away the image crystal, he was not in a hurry to copy the fourth stroke of the kill character formula. He walked to the front of the Flood Dragon cauldron and opened the furnace to refine pills. The pill he was refining was naturally the battle chi pill. Now, in the ancient castle, other than the black dragon snake, everyone needed a large amount of battle chi pills to cultivate. Especially when copying the 6-word divine formula, the consumption of battle chi pills was several times that of Fatso and Wolf King combined. And the battle chi pills that he had refined before had already been used up. So, in the next 4 months, Qin Feiyang planned to use all of it to refine battle chi pills for future use. Time was like the sand between fingers, passing in the blink of an eye. City Lord informed that the Pill Tower's examination will officially begin in a month. 3 months later in the morning, a woman's voice resounded in the sky above Sky Thunder City. It was crisp and pleasant to the ear, but it carried a great sense of majesty. This was the voice of the Pill Tower. At the same time as the voice sounded, a graceful woman stood in the sky above Sky Thunder City. She had a head of long sky blue hair that was like the clear sky, making her look pleasing to the eye. But on her cheeks, she wore an exquisite mask that covered her true appearance. Her temperament was outstanding. Although her true appearance could not be seen, she gave off a stunning feeling. It was the pagoda master that Qin Feiyang had been waiting for a long time. However, before the people of Sky Thunder City could react, the pagoda master had already entered the Pill Tower and disappeared without a trace. But hearing the pagoda master's voice, everyone was in an uproar. This news was like a plague, crazily spreading to the various tribes. For a time, the people of the various tribes were all wild with joy. The Pill Tower's examination had finally begun again. Qin Feiyang also received the city lord's message at the first moment, but he did not immediately head to Sky Thunder City. Instead, he buried himself in refining pills. After all, there was still a month's time. And just as he was refining pills, the city lord also sent him a batch of battle chi pills medicinal ingredients, which amounted to more than 1 million sets. And during this period of time, he had been working hard enough. After using up all his mental energy, he would rest, and after resting, he would immediately continue. So far, he had already refined more than 400,000 pills. On the day before the Pill Tower's official examination, Qin Feiyang finally stopped, his expression rather haggard. However, when he looked at the universe bag beside him, his face was full of smiles. In these 4 months, he had refined a total of more than 500,000 battle chi pills, and all of them had 4 pill patterns, which was enough for everyone to use for a long time. It had already been 7 months since they entered the Forgotten Continent. In these 7 months, everyone's strength had advanced by leaps and bounds. Wolf King and Fatso had both stepped into the 5-star War Master. The pangolin had also broken through to the 3-star War Master. Lu Hong, under her continuous efforts, had finally stepped into the War Master realm. As for the black dragon snake, who had destroyed his own cultivation, after opening the door of potential, his speed was astonishingly fast. Now, he had already recovered the cultivation of a 5-star martial ancestor. He believed that it wouldn't be long before he could step into the War King realm. Seeing that Qin Feiyang had stopped refining pills, Fatso also opened his eyes and asked, "Boss, what if there's no news of Mu Qing? Then we'll go deeper into the Forgotten Continent." Qin Feiyang said without hesitation, "All right, Fat Lord, continue to cultivate. I'll definitely surpass you." Fatso chuckled, then closed his eyes and continued to cultivate. "Surpass me?" Qin Feiyang shook his head and laughed. Honestly speaking, he was quite envious of Fatso and the others. They didn't need to care about anything, they just needed to cultivate. As for him, he felt that he had too many things to do. Just like this time. If it wasn't for the fact that he had been refining battle chi pills for the past 4 months, he would have already imitated the 4th stroke of the kill formula. His cultivation had already stepped into the 6-star War Master. However, there was nothing he could do. Who asked him to be the leader of this small team? As a leader, he had to shoulder this responsibility. Shua. After calming himself down, Qin Feiyong left the castle and took out the image crystal. Not long later, the image of the city lord appeared. Qin Feiyong said, "I'll give you a mission." "Master, please speak." The city lord said respectfully, "Mu Qing is a very smart person. He should have guessed that I would be waiting for him in Sky Thunder City. So, if he comes to participate in the Pill Pagoda's examination this time, he might change his appearance," Qin Feiyong said. The city lord thought for a moment, then said, "Master, you mean to thoroughly investigate everyone who came to participate in the examination this time? Not bad, you've become smarter. Yes, we can't let anyone go. If there are any suspicious people, you must record them and report to me when the time comes," Qin Feiyong said. "All right, this subordinate will do it now." The city lord nodded respectfully, and the image disappeared. Qin Feiyong put away the image crystal and looked at the sky, his eyes flickering. He had a premonition. Chapter 749. The opening of the Pill Pagoda's examination caused the deserted Sky Thunder City to once again become incomparably lively. Regardless of whether it was inside or outside the city, there was a sea of people. Spring Rain Restaurant. At this moment it was also packed with people and was bustling with noise. In a corner, a white-clothed youth sat alone at a dining table, silently drinking wine. This person was Qin Feiyong. After leaving the glacier forest, he came directly here. Of course, he had also changed his appearance and concealed his cultivation. And coming to the Spring Rain Restaurant, he was purely here to try his luck. But it was clear that his luck was not good. He sat here until dark, but there was still no news of Mu Qing. Evening. He stood up, paid the bill and left, and directly appeared in the city lord's mansion. In a great hall, Qin Feiyong sat on the main seat, while the city lord stood respectfully beside him. In the entire hall, other than them, there was no one else. "Speak." Qin Feiyong drank a mouthful of tea and looked at the city lord. The city lord said, "This subordinate has checked all the participants of the examination, and there are basically no problems." Qin Feiyong frowned and asked, "Have you checked them all?" "No. The time is too short. There's no way to check them one by one." The city lord shook his head. Qin Feiyong frowned and said, "Is there really not a single suspicious person? I haven't found anything yet. How about this, I'll send someone to check it out later, and try to finish checking them one by one before dawn." The city lord asked carefully. "All right." Qin Feiyong nodded, his brows relaxed, and said with a faint smile, "As long as you can do this well, I will definitely reward you heavily." "Thank you, master." The city lord immediately bowed and thanked him. However, in his heart he didn't mind. After being in charge of the Heaven Thunder City for so many years, what kind of treasure had he not seen before? He did not believe that Qin Feiyong could take out anything that could move his heart. But suddenly, he stared at Qin Feiyong, his eyes filled with bewilderment, and said, "Master, why is the aura you're emitting a little different from before? I have already stepped into the 5-star War Master. Of course it's different from before." Qin Feiyong said lightly, "What? Another breakthrough?" The city lord was dumbfounded, his face full of shock. A moment later, he gulped and asked, "Master, can you tell me how you did it?" "I'll tell you when you're done with this." Qin Feiyong smiled faintly and flashed into the castle to copy the 4th stroke of the kill formula. Outside, the city lord was both surprised and excited. What surprised him was how did Qin Feiyong do it? What made him excited was that if he could master this method, wouldn't his speed be the same as Qin Feiyong's? Just thinking about it made his blood boil. You must serve him well. He clenched his fists, and his eyes were filled with determination. In the past he had been forced into a corner, but now he was following Qin Feiyong wholeheartedly. Time flew by and dawn was about to arrive. The city lord hurriedly ran into the main hall and shouted, "Master, there's news." He had been running outside all night. He didn't know how many places he had been to, but he wasn't tired at all. Shua. Before he could finish, Qin Feiyang appeared out of thin air and looked at the city lord expectantly. Speak? This subordinate found out that there is a very suspicious person. This person is called Tang Hai. According to our investigation yesterday, he is from the Tang tribe. The city lord said. Tang tribe? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. The Tang tribe is just a small tribe. Its location is very remote, and not many people know about it. But that's where the problem lies. Not long ago, this subordinate personally went to the Tang tribe, and guess what? There was no such person as Tang Hai. The city lord said. Qin Feiyang also became spirited. This subordinate guesses that this person must have changed his appearance, and like master, he knows the coordinates of the city and escaped the pursuit of the Heaven's Eye Stone at the city gate. The city lord said again. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed and asked, "What does this Tang Hai look like?" The city lord waved his hand, and a figure quickly appeared in the void. It was a young man wearing a leopard skin, about 20 years old. He was very short and thin and looked a little weak. Qin Feiyang looked at the young man's figure and asked, "What is his cultivation level?" The city lord said, "According to this subordinate's investigation, he is only a 9-star battle king." Qin Feiyang pondered for a while, and a cold light flashed in his eyes and said, "Well, let's target this person." The city lord nodded and asked, "The assessment is about to begin. Master, do you want to participate?" "There's no need for that. In alchemy, the pagoda master can't teach me anything," Qin Feiyang said lightly. In terms of cultivation, he couldn't compare to the pagoda master, but in terms of alchemy, he was not inferior to anyone. The city lord was stunned, and then the corners of his mouth pursed into a wry smile. Yes, level 20 mental strength was rare in the world. Who could compare to him? Furthermore, the pagoda master had once said that the master in front of him could refine pills with 5 Dan veins. What kind of concept was this? He was simply inhuman. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang seemed to have thought of something and asked, "Oh right, how is the pagoda master's cultivation level? I think I've heard her say before that she was a 9-star war sect, but after a few years I don't know if she has broken through to the war saint realm." The city lord thought for a moment and said, 9-star war sect. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed. The last time he came to the Forgotten Continent, he was only at the War King's cultivation level. To him, an expert at the level of the War Master was like a god. But now, he had already stepped into the 5-star war sect, and if the pagoda master did not use any battle arts, he was confident that he could kill him with just the war in return. However, if the tower took the initiative to use a battle art, he could only escape. After all, there was a difference of 4 small realms between the two of them. Alright, I'll go to the pill tower first. If I make a move later, remember to put on an act and stop me. Qin Feiyang said. Understood. The city lord nodded. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, opening a transmission gate, then looked at the city lord and said, "Oh right, prepare some transmission gate for me." "Alright." The city lord replied respectfully. Next, Qin Feiyang then turned and walked into the transmission gate, appearing in a dark alley. He then tidied up his state and walked out of the alley. Even though it was still dawn, the streets were already filled with a sea of people, and everyone was heading in the same direction. Pill Tower. Qin Feiyang mixed in with the crowd and soon arrived in front of a plaza. There were already many young people gathered in the plaza. They were all in their teens and 20s. These were all people who were going to participate in the examination. As for those who did not participate in the examination, they could only stand outside. Qin Feiyang swept his gaze across the crowd and realized that there were many familiar faces. These people had also participated in the previous assessment. This was because the Pill Tower did not stipulate that those who had participated in the previous assessment could not participate in the next assessment. Therefore, many people would come to the Pill Tower for the assessment. However, Qin Feiyang did not notice Tang Hai. Time passed by slowly. Just as the assessment was about to begin, a young man in leopard skin strode into the plaza. Qin Feiyang's gaze immediately locked onto this person. This person was thin and short. He looked to be in his 20s and his aura was that of a 9-star combat king. It was Tang Hai whom the city lord mentioned. Tang Hai entered the plaza and did not greet anyone. He stood alone in a corner. Qin Feiyang kept staring at him, hoping to find some clues from this person's expression or gaze. However, he discovered that this person's aura and gaze were completely different from Mu Qing's. Could it be that it was not him? Whoosh! Soon, two middle-aged men landed on the steps in front of the plaza. They were the city lord and the commander of the guards. As soon as the two of them arrived, the entire plaza fell silent. Let's cut to the chase. The first round of the willpower assessment will begin immediately. Those who can withstand the pressure of the commander of the guards without collapsing for 10 breaths will enter the next round of the assessment. Those who fail will be eliminated. As for those who are not here yet, they will be disqualified. After the city lord finished speaking, he nodded at the commander of the guards. Boom! The commander of the guards immediately released his aura and enveloped everyone in the plaza. In an instant, many people felt as if a towering mountain was pressing down on their heads. Their legs could not help but tremble. Their faces turned pale and beads of sweat the size of beans appeared. In less than 3 breaths, the people in the plaza fell down one by one. Their faces were filled with unwillingness. Qin Feiyong swept his gaze across the entire plaza and looked at Tang Hai again. His eyes suddenly had a trace of suspicion. Under the suppression of the commander of the guards, Tang Hai was also trembling. His forehead was also sweating profusely. However, Qin Feiyong did not find a trace of panic in his eyes. He was very calm. This was obviously not normal. This was because the commander of the guards had the cultivation of a 9-star combat emperor. Facing his aura, any 9-star combat king would instinctively feel afraid. Therefore, this person was becoming more and more suspicious. But he did not take action. He continued to observe. Very soon, after 10 breaths, there were only about 1,000 people left in the plaza. Next, it was the second round of the assessment of mental strength. Qin Feiyong looked at Tang Hai. If he remembered correctly, Mu Qing had a level 13 mental strength. If the mental strength matched, then this Tang Hai was very likely to be Mu Qing. Not long after, it was Tang Hai's turn to test his mental strength. Buzz! The mental strength stone trembled again and again. The light emitted also became brighter and brighter. But in the end, the mental strength stone only trembled 12 times. In other words, this Tang Hai had a level 12 mental strength. Is it really not him? Qin Feiyong frowned. And Tang Hai's level 12 mental strength also caused a sensation at the scene. The city lord and the commander of the guards even praised him a few times. Tang Hai also appeared to be flattered. I'm not waiting anymore. Qin Feiyong muttered. If he continued to wait like this, there would be no result at all. He might as well directly force Tang Hai to reveal his true form. He secretly took out a facial restoration pill and held it in his hand. Next, a cold light flashed in his eyes. Whiz! In the next moment, he used the phantom steps and rushed towards Tang Hai like a ghost. One had to know. Right now, he was a 5-star war master. With the addition of the perfect support technique, his speed was comparable to a 9-star war master. Before the people present could react, he had already landed in front of Tang Hai. Tang Hai looked at the person who suddenly appeared in front of him and was instinctively stunned. But then, Chapter 750. Qin Feiyong clearly caught this trace of panic. He felt a chill in his heart. This person was really getting more and more suspicious. Swish! Without hesitation, he raised his arm and stuffed the face-restoring pill into Tang Hai's mouth. Bastard! Tang Hai couldn't help but shout. At the same time, his appearance was also changing rapidly. Finally, a familiar face appeared in Qin Feiyong's line of sight. Who else could it be but Mu Qing? It's really you. Qin Feiyong sneered. Mu Qing frowned and said, I even disguised my temperament and eyes. Why do you still suspect me? Qin Feiyong was slightly stunned and said, You know who I am? He knew. Now he was still disguised. Why didn't Mu Qing doubt him at all? Mu Qing said, I already recognized you when I entered the square. How on earth did you do it? Qin Feiyong frowned. No matter where he was, no matter what he disguised himself as, this person could recognize him at a glance. Wasn't it too ridiculous? At this time, the others around also came to their senses and looked at Qin Feiyong and Mu Qing in surprise. Mu Qing looked around and gloomily looked at Qin Feiyong saying, How did I do it? I have no comment. Qin Feiyang joked, why are you looking at me like that? Did I ruin something good for you? Mu Qing's face turned cold. This time, the city lord looked at Mu Qing and frowned. If you want to take the test, then take the test. Why do you have to hide? It has nothing to do with you. Mu Qing said expressionlessly. The city lord frowned and looked at Qin Feiyang saying, who are you? Him. Mu Qing smiled coldly and said, he's that monstrous alchemist whose name shook the world back then, Qin Feiyang. What? Everyone's eyes widened, staring at Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. He took out a facial restoring pill and popped it into his mouth. Soon he regained his true appearance. It's really Qin Feiyang. He's back. The place immediately fell into an uproar. Mu Qing's lips curled into a playful smile. She looked at Qin Feiyang indifferently and said, now let's see how you're going to deal with the aftermath. Really? Then I'll kill you first and then I'll deal with the rest. Qin Feiyang smiled coldly. His hidden aura suddenly erupted, shocking everyone present. What? 5-star war sect. Mu Qing's pupils contracted. Qin Feiyang, you still dare to come back? The city lord also pretended to be shocked. Then with a cold shout, his aura suddenly erupted and rushed towards Qin Feiyang. A mere 2-star war sect dares to be arrogant in front of me? Qin Feiyang laughed in disdain, and suddenly took a step forward, causing the entire plaza to tremble violently. Following closely, he raised his arm and slapped the city lord's chest with his palm. Puff! The city lord was sent flying like a meteor, crashing into the stairs behind him. How is this possible? He's actually so strong? The city lord looked at Qin Feiyang in disbelief. He spat out a mouthful of blood and fainted on the spot. His pale face was like the face of a dead man. Qin Feiyang was stunned. Wasn't this acting too similar? That palm strike just now didn't even have half of his strength, yet he had actually fainted? He really didn't expect this person to be so talented in acting. City Lord. The guard commander roared. Looking at the severely injured and unconscious City Lord, he also angrily rushed towards Qin Feiyang. So many people are not afraid of death? Qin Feiyang frowned and pointed his index finger in the air. Whoosh! A crimson sword chi shot out and instantly pierced through the guard commander's chest. That moment, the guard commander's head tilted and he fell to the ground with a bang. However, he didn't hurt the guard commander's life, but only seriously injured him and made him unconscious. This is my eyesight failing me? The guard commander and the city lord can't even defeat him? When everyone saw this scene, they couldn't help but feel a storm in their hearts. In just a few years, Qin Feiyang's strength had actually become so terrifying. Suddenly, there was a round of applause. Mu Qing clapped his hands and looked at Qin Feiyang with a smile. Brother Qin, you're really good. You can still laugh now. Aren't you afraid that I'll really kill you? Qin Feiyang put down his arm and turned to look at Mu Qing, his eyes flashing with cold light. I naturally know Brother Qin's temper. If you say you'll kill me, you'll definitely kill me. But today, I'm afraid you don't have the ability. Mu Qing crossed his arms in front of his chest and made a solemn vow. Qin Feiyang's pupils constricted and he glanced at the crowd around him. If it was someone else who said this, he wouldn't care about it. But since it was Mu Qing who said it, he couldn't be careless. Because with Mu Qing's background, anything could happen. And the biggest possibility was that Mu Qing's accomplices were lurking in the crowd. Suddenly, he fixed his eyes on 2 old men in the crowd on the left. These 2 people looked very old. Their hair was mottled with white, and they were emaciated as if they were about to die. They didn't have the slightest aura, just like 2 mortals. But because of this, it was more suspicious. Because in Sky Thunder City, it was impossible for ordinary people to exist. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed and he raised his hand and pointed. A red sword chi surged out like a huge wave, covering the sky and covering the earth as it pounced towards the 2 people. Seeing this, the 2 old men looked at each other. Not only were they not nervous at all, but there was also a faint smile on their wrinkled old faces. There is indeed something wrong. Qin Feiyang was stunned. Boom! But at this moment, a terrifying pressure descended, and everyone present was imprisoned in the void. Whoosh! Then, A graceful woman in a long white dress appeared out of thin air above the square. She was wearing an exquisite mask, but it didn't affect her charm, because she had a pair of beautiful sky blue eyes that were like the clear sky, making people feel comfortable. It wasn't hard to imagine that under that mask, there must be a peerless face. That's right. This person was the Tower Master of the Pill Pagoda. As soon as the Tower Master appeared, she raised her arm and pointed her slender finger in the air. Boom! Suddenly, with a loud bang, an invisible force descended from the sky and instantly disintegrated Qin Feiyang's red sword Qi. Puff! Qin Feiyang's face turned pale and blood gushed out of his mouth. So powerful! His pupils constricted and there was a trace of fear in his eyes. Tower Master! The next moment, everyone present prostrated themselves on the ground and bowed respectfully, as if they were on a pilgrimage. From this, it could be seen how much prestige the Pagoda Master had in this area. However, Qin Feiyang and Mu Qing did not kneel. However, the strange thing was that the two old men that Qin Feiyang had noticed before were also kneeling on the ground in worship. This made Qin Feiyang very puzzled. Could it be that the two of them were faking it? But thinking about it, it was impossible. Because with his cultivation, the red sword Qi from before was enough to instantly kill all living beings below the 5-star War Master level. Therefore, it was impossible for ordinary people without cultivation to be so calm, let alone have a trace of a smile on their faces. But why was that? What were these two old men planning? Just as Qin Feiyang was deep in thought, the Pagoda Master's pleasant voice rang out. Qin Feiyang Mu Qing kneel. Although the voice was pleasant to hear, it carried a bone-piercing coldness. On what basis? Qin Feiyang and Mu Qing raised their brows and looked at the Pagoda Master at the same time. The Pill Tower looked at the two of them coldly. Suddenly, she turned her gaze and looked at Qin Feiyang, saying, "Back then, you plundered the treasure trove and pill fire of the 3 great tribes. Your crimes are unforgivable. Finished." She then looked at Mu Qing and said, "And you, attempting to snatch the heavenly thunder flames, you also deserve to die 1,000 times." What? Qin Feiyang's expression froze. The last time Mu Qing snuck into the Pill Tower, it was also for the heavenly thunder flames? But why wasn't anyone discussing such a big matter in Heaven Thunder City? Qin Feiyang frowned, looked at the city lord lying on the ground, and sent a sound transmission. "Do you know about this?" The city lord wasn't really unconscious, he was pretending to be unconscious. Hearing Qin Feiyang's sound transmission, he secretly replied, "This subordinate does not know. I have never heard the Pagoda Master mention it." Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed. It seemed that only the Pagoda Master knew about this. And Mu Qing came here in disguise this time. Guarding against him should be secondary. The most important thing was to guard against the Pagoda Master. Thinking of this, Qin Feiyang lifted the corner of his mouth, turned to look at Mu Qing and laughed. "I didn't expect to really ruin your good deed. I'm really sorry." Mu Qing raised his eyebrows and snorted. "Don't make sarcastic remarks there. I'm sincerely apologizing to you, why don't you appreciate it? But there's one thing that puzzles me. With your family background, the 6th grade pill fire shouldn't be a rare thing, right? But why did you deliberately come to snatch the heavenly thunder flames?" Qin Feiyang said. "He even had a treasure like the gate of time and space, let alone a 6th grade pill fire?" Mu Qing said in a deep voice. "This has nothing to do with you, mind your own business. I don't want to care either, but you brought me here, of course I can't sit back and do nothing." Qin Feiyang grinned. "What are they talking about? Why can't I understand at all?" The surrounding people looked at each other, their faces full of suspicion. And Mu Qing, looking at the smile on Qin Feiyang's face, was so angry that he was about to go crazy. He couldn't wait to slap him. The Pagoda Master, who was standing above, looked colder and colder. These two little bastards actually treated her as air? "Have you said enough?" She looked at the two coldly and said word by word. Mu Qing raised his eyebrows and said impatiently, "Who allowed you to speak? Can you get lost?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. Mu Qing's family background was indeed a bit scary. But now they were in Sky Thunder City. Wasn't this attitude a bit too arrogant? Sure enough, the Pagoda Master was angry. That pair of beautiful sky blue eyes revealed a shocking light. "Say it one more time." Her aura was firmly locked on Mu Qing. Her whole body was filled with a bone-piercing cold current. Whoosh! Mu Qing suddenly looked up at the pagoda master, full of contempt between her eyebrows. I want to say it one more time. What do you dare to do to me? Good, very good. The pagoda master smiled. However, her exquisite body was trembling slightly. It was obvious that she was furious to the extreme. Why, looking at you still want to kill me? However, Mu Qing became more and more arrogant. She didn't take the pagoda master seriously at all. Boom! Chapter 751. Humph! Just as the pagoda master was about to attack, Mu Qing snorted through her nose. But she did not dodge. She did not counterattack. Something's not right. Qin Feiyang, who was next to her, suddenly felt an inexplicable sense of uneasiness as he looked at the two of them. But what was it that made him feel uneasy? He could not figure it out. He had a feeling that it was not so simple. I have a good temper, but it doesn't mean that I won't kill. The pagoda master's eyes flashed with murderous intent. In the blink of an eye, she landed on top of Mu Qing. Her jade-like hand shot out and slapped toward Mu Qing's head. What's wrong? The uneasiness in Qin Feiyang's heart grew stronger. Suddenly, his pupils shrank, because he sensed that two auras were quietly awakening in this place. Who are they? He glanced at the crowd around him in surprise. All of a sudden, he locked his gaze on the two old men. At the same time, the two old men also looked at Qin Feiyang. A smile appeared on their old faces again. Not good. This is a killing trap. Qin Feiyang suddenly quivered and hurriedly shouted, "Pagoda master, be careful." The pagoda master looked at him suspiciously. But just as Qin Feiyang spoke, the two old men suddenly got up and then swooped down toward the pagoda master. Their aura also suddenly erupted at this moment. This aura was very powerful. It was like a torrent of beasts, rolling in all directions. The surrounding crowd was all sent flying in an instant. Blood spurted out and wails could be heard everywhere. Moreover, the two of them were extremely fast. Even with Qin Feiyang's eyesight, he could not catch their tracks. The pagoda master also looked at the two old men immediately. Her beautiful eyes were full of surprise and suspicion. Obviously, she did not notice that there were two such terrifying powerhouses hidden in the crowd before. She made a prompt decision. She gave up on the idea of killing Mu Qing. She retracted her arm and turned into a stream of light, retreating rapidly. Almost as soon as she retreated, the two old men rushed in front of Mu Qing and punched her. However, because the tower master had retreated in time, their punches missed. Seeing that the attack had failed, Mu Qing immediately turned her head and glared at Qin Feiyang angrily. "I'm sorry. I was careless and ruined your plans again. I guess I was born to be a shit stirrer," Qin Feiyang said with a smile. Mu Qing clenched her fists. She was so angry that smoke came out of the top of her head. Previously, he had been provoking the pagoda master all this time in order to infuriate her and make her lose her rationality, giving the two old men an opportunity to launch a sneak attack. This plan was originally foolproof and would definitely succeed. But he never expected that Qin Feiyang would see through it. Why was this bastard so difficult to deal with? In the meantime, the tower master, who had retreated far away, secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Immediately, she glanced at the two old men and then looked at Qin Feiyang. Her gaze softened a lot, and she transmitted her voice, "Thank you." If it weren't for Qin Feiyang's reminder, facing the sudden attack of the two old men, she would definitely be in danger. Qin Feiyang laughed secretly. "As long as you don't bite the hand that feeds you." The pagoda master took a deep look at Qin Feiyang. She really couldn't understand. What was the relationship between Qin Feiyang and Mu Qing? Then, her gaze turned and fell on Mu Qing and the other two. She said in a deep voice, "Who are you? It doesn't matter who we are." Mu Qing also looked away from Qin Feiyang and looked at the pagoda master. She said lightly, "What's important is that the heavenly thunder flame is mine today. I'm afraid you don't have the strength." The pagoda master smiled coldly. "Is that so?" Mu Qing's eyes flashed coldly. She waved her hand and said, "Kill her." Whiz! The two old men standing beside him immediately displayed a mysterious footwork and rushed towards the pagoda master. 29 Star Wars Sect. The pagoda master scanned the two of them with a trace of disdain in her eyes. Shua. The next moment, she took a step forward. Instead of retreating, she advanced and charged straight towards the two old men. The three of them were very fast. In the blink of an eye, they collided with each other. Boom! A destructive wave of air surged out in all directions like a tide with the three of them as the center. Seeing this, everyone present was terrified and fled in all directions, including Qin Feiyang and Mu Qing. The city lord could no longer pretend. He got up and hugged the guard commander as he fled with all his might. An expert at the level of the 9-star war sect could destroy half of the Heaven Thunder City with a wave of his hand. Not to mention the battle between the 3 9-star war sects. Staying behind would only result in death. Boom! Kacha! In less than 5 breaths of time, half of the Heaven Thunder City was razed to the ground. And it was still spreading. Dust and smoke covered the sky and covered the sun. The rumbling sound was deafening. Countless people were affected and their blood dyed the ground red. As for those who managed to escape, they were all dripping with blood. However, Qin Feiyang, Mu Qing, and the city lord didn't suffer much damage. After all, they were all war sects and had mastered auxiliary battle arts. Their escape speed was faster than the others. As for the others, the highest cultivation was the war emperor, and the lowest was the martial sect. Martial master naturally couldn't escape in time. To hurt so many innocent people, you all deserve to die. Seeing this scene, a trace of astonishing hostility crawled up from the pagoda master's sky-blue eyes. Don't make it sound so dignified. If you were willing to hand over the heavenly thunder flames, would they die? The two old men smiled coldly, twisting words and forcing logic. Today, I will bury all of you with them. The pagoda master let out a stern shout, and an aura that was even stronger than before rushed out from his body. Moreover, within this aura, there was also a shocking holy might that intimidated the hearts of countless people. What? You've already broken through to the War Saint realm? The two old men's eyes widened in anger. That's right. A year ago, I had already stepped into the War Saint realm. The pagoda master's aura was like a rainbow as her jade-like hands shot out explosively. The terrifying holy might transformed into 2 invisible giant hands that grabbed towards the two old men. The air seemed to be on the verge of exploding as it crazily distorted. As for the two old men, they were imprisoned in the air, unable to move at all. War Saint. In the air outside the city, Qin Feiyang looked at the pagoda master with a trace of astonishment in his eyes. Were the methods of the War Saint so terrifying? Not far away. When the city lord saw this scene, his pupils also constricted. Those two old men were both 9-star war sects, and were only one small realm away from the War Saint. However, when the pagoda master displayed his full strength, the two of them actually didn't have the slightest ability to resist. Wasn't the difference between the War Sect and the War Saint too great? Master, the pagoda master's strength after breaking through to the War Saint realm is too terrifying. This subordinate advises you to give up on snatching the heavenly thunder flame. He glanced at Qin Feiyang without leaving a trace and sent a sound transmission to Qin Feiyang. I know. Qin Feiyang secretly replied and turned his head to look at Mu Qing on the other side. No. Immediately, his gaze trembled. The pagoda master had displayed such terrifying strength, but Mu Qing's face didn't show the slightest bit of panic. Could it be that this guy was still hiding some trump card? War Saint. Is it that great? Just as Qin Feiyang was bewildered, 2 old voices entered his ears. There was a deep sense of disdain in his words. Qin Feiyang immediately looked towards the source of the voice. In the end, he was shocked to find that the people who spoke were the 2 old men who were imprisoned in the air by the pagoda master. Could it be? In his mind, a terrifying thought suddenly crawled up. Boom! In the next moment, the auras of the 2 old men also rapidly soared. Their white hair fluttered in the wind, their clothes fluttered, as if 2 kings had descended to the world, their auras shaking the heavens. In the blink of an eye, the aura of the 2 had broken through the 9-star War Master and stepped into the ranks of the War Saint. As expected, Qin Feiyang's face changed greatly. The 2 of them had also concealed their cultivation before. On the surface they were 9-star War Master, but in reality they were both War Saints. These people had hidden themselves really well. The city lord's face was also deathly pale as he roared. Everyone quickly continued to retreat. The further the better. His roar shook the heavens and spread in all directions. With the battle between the three war saints, the Sky Thunder City would definitely not be able to hold on. Even the mountains and rivers around the Sky Thunder City would probably be affected. Upon hearing the city lord's roar, those who had already escaped the city, as well as those who had yet to escape, all gathered their strength and frantically fled. At the same time, the city lord looked at the pagoda master and roared, "Hurry up and move the battlefield. Don't hurt any more innocent people." When the pagoda master heard this, he scanned the crowd that was fleeing in fear, and his gaze immediately darkened. Whiz! Following closely, she leaped into the air and flew towards the sky like lightning. Come down for this old man. However, the two old men didn't give her the chance. At the same time, their holy might swept through the sky and forcefully pulled the pagoda master down. Damn it! You did it on purpose. The pagoda master was both shocked and furious. Yes, we did it on purpose. If you don't want to implicate those innocent people, hand over the heavenly thunder flames immediately. The two old men laughed sinisterly, revealing a ruthless and cold expression. Impossible. The pagoda master gritted his teeth and said word by word, leaving no room for negotiation. Then let's begin. The two old men smiled sinisterly and took a step forward. Like ghosts, they instantly appeared on the left and right sides of the pagoda master. Previous chapter, next chapter then. The two of them raised their hands at the same time. Battle chi surged out like a tide as they punched towards the pagoda master. However, the pagoda master did not meet them head-on and chose to retreat. This was because once they fought, battle fluctuations would be born. And when the war saints fought, the battle fluctuations that were born were enough to instantly destroy the entire Sky Thunder City. So she wanted to buy time for those who had yet to escape the city. You want to protect them? The two old men's punches missed and their old faces were filled with shocking killing intent. One of the old men suddenly turned around and raised his hand. A surge of battle chi surged out and turned into a terrifying wave that rushed towards the crowd in the distance. This was forcing the pagoda master to meet them head-on. Bastard! Aren't you afraid of being punished by the heavens? The pagoda master was so angry that her delicate body could not help but tremble. They all died because of you. The one who should be punished by the heavens is you. The two old men smiled coldly. Despicable. The pagoda master angrily rebuked and hurriedly chased after the battle chi. As for the two old men, they did not stop her. Their eyes flashed with a sinister look. In a few blinks of an eye, the pagoda master stood in front of the battle chi. She raised her jade-like hand and slapped it without hesitation. With a loud bang, the battle chi was directly scattered. However, as soon as they exchanged blows, a destructive wave of air was born, surging out in all directions with an earth-shattering momentum. Boom! Crack! Following a series of deafening explosions, the Sky Thunder City, which was already in tatters, instantly disappeared from the ground. Those who had yet to escape from Sky Thunder City were all drowned by this wave of air and died tragically on the spot. As for those who had already escaped from Sky Thunder City, they were all gathered in the distance. Looking at the Sky Thunder City that had already turned into ruins, their eyes were filled with sorrow. One had to know. There were originally many residents in Sky Thunder City, and today was the day of the Pill Pagoda's assessment. The number of people was several times more than usual. However, in just a short while more than half of the people were dead or injured. Chapter 752. Even with Qin Feiyang's temperament, he could not help but feel sad when he saw this scene. Fortunately, the pagoda master made a move to disperse the battle aura. Otherwise, those who had already escaped from Sky Thunder City would also be bloodied on the spot. The methods of these two old things were truly extremely vicious. So many people have already died tragically in your hands. Shouldn't you stop now? The pagoda master looked at the two old men coldly. Sigh. One of the old men sighed deeply and said, "They are still unwilling to hand over the Sky Thunder Flame. It seems that we can only snatch it by force." Boom. After saying that, the two old men stepped out. Their white hair fluttered in the wind and their sharp gazes were like blades. Whoosh! The pagoda master glanced at the two of them and suddenly leaped into the sky. This time, the two old men did not stop him and also leaped into the sky. Bang bang bang. Boom! Immediately, the battle between the three of them unfolded in the sky. The void within a few hundred miles was instantly distorted. Waves of terrifying battle fluctuations surged in all directions. Qin Feiyong observed carefully for a while. He discovered that the cultivation of the three of them should be one-star battle saints. However, facing two battle saints, the pagoda master was somewhat powerless. Suddenly Qin Feiyong's pupils constricted and he lowered his head to look at the pill pagoda below. The entire Sky Thunder City had been destroyed. Only the pill pagoda was still sitting in the ruins unscathed. Wasn't this too unbelievable? One had to know. This was a battle between three battle saints. The strength of a battle saint could easily destroy mountains and rivers. How could the pill pagoda withstand such an attack? Could it be that this pill pagoda was a sacred artifact? Just as Qin Feiyong was bewildered, the pagoda master was unable to dodge the indiscriminate attacks of the two old men. One of the old men punched his lower abdomen, and he immediately spat out a mouthful of blood. Oh no! The pagoda master's expression changed. He hurriedly waved his hand, wanting to wipe off the blood. This was because her blood could open the stone door of the pill pagoda. If the two old men obtained it, the consequences would be unimaginable. However, at the same time, the two old men smiled coldly. One of them stepped forward and slapped the pagoda master. The other person waved his hand, and the blood turned into a stream of light, shooting towards Mu Qing. I finally got it. Looking at the blood, Mu Qing muttered to herself with a happy smile on her face. Whoosh! But at the same time, Qin Feiyong also abruptly raised his head and looked at the pool of blood. Following closely, he used the phantom steps and like a bolt of lightning, he tore through the sky and rushed towards the blood. With Chang Shui in his hands, he didn't need the Tower Master's blood to enter the pill pagoda. The reason why she wanted to snatch the blood was purely to foil Mu Qing's scheme. Seeing this, Mu Qing immediately raised his eyebrows and said, Brother Qin, do you have to go against me? What do you think? Qin Feiyong turned around and sneered. Alas! You're forcing me to attack you. Mu Qing let out a long sigh and shouted, Stop him and snatch the blood. Qin Feiyong was stunned. Who was Mu Qing talking to? The two old men? But the two old men were firmly entangled by the pagoda master and had no time to spare. Boom! But suddenly in the ruins below, a powerful aura suddenly erupted. What? There are more people. Qin Feiyong immediately lowered his head and scanned the area below. Whoosh! Immediately. Then he saw numerous black shadows flying out of the ruins. These people were all middle-aged burly men in black robes, with thick eyebrows and big eyes. The aura they exuded was extremely powerful. Are they also your men? Qin Feiyong looked at Mu Qing in surprise and doubt. That's right. Mu Qing nodded and smiled. Qin Feiyong's eyes darkened slightly and he sneered. You really put in a lot of effort for the flame of heavenly thunder. You flatter me. Mu Qing waved his hand in shame, but his face was filled with pride. He looked at the big-sized men and said, Don't hurt him as long as we get the blood. Yes. The big-sized men respectfully replied and then spread out, surrounding Qin Feiyong. One of the burly men with a scar on his face directly rushed towards the blood. Qin Feiyong, please, you must stop them. At this time, the pagoda master's voice sounded in Qin Feiyong's mind. Qin Feiyong raised his head to look at the pagoda master, then immediately retracted his gaze and scanned the surrounding big-sized men. For a moment his heart was heavy, because, including the scarred man who was rushing towards the blood, there were a total of 10 people. And amongst these 10 people, the scarred man was the strongest. 9-star war sect. The remaining 9 people, based on their auras, were all 8-star war sect S. This kind of lineup was not something he could contend against. But it wasn't like there was no other way. As long as he could launch a surprise attack in advance without any warning, he would definitely be able to catch the 9 of them off guard. Qin Feiyong's eyes flashed, and he said with a faint smile, 9 8-star war sect S surrounding me, you guys really think highly of me. On the surface, these words were said to the 9 big men, But in reality, they were said to Fatso and Wolf King who were inside the castle. Because now, only Fatso and Wolf King could help him. However, because the 9 of them were too close to him, he couldn't directly ask Wolf King and Fatso to prepare for battle, so he could only use this method to hint at them. He also believed that with Wolf King and Fatso's understanding of him, they would be able to understand. When the 9 of them heard Qin Feiyong's words, they did not answer Qin Feiyong. Their auras firmly locked onto him. Not talking. Then let me tell you, you might die later, Qin Feiyong said with a faint smile. The 9 of them remained silent, but a hint of disdain crawled up from their eyes. Qin Feiyong swept his gaze across the 9 of them, and shook his head in disappointment. I originally wanted to scare you guys, but it seems like it didn't work. The disdain in the eyes of the 9 grew even stronger. Do you really think I'm scaring you? Qin Feiyong secretly sneered. He looked at Mu Qing in the distance, and a cold light suddenly erupted from his eyes. Boom! With a thought, Fatso and Wolf King immediately appeared out of thin air. Moreover, as soon as they came out, they were in a state of transformation. Wolf King activated Berserker's Fury and transformed into a 2-meter-tall muscular wolf, his ferocious might unparalleled. Fatso also activated the Dragon Transformation Art and transformed into a dragon warrior. The aura he emitted was comparable to that of a 9-star war sect. Obviously, they had understood Qin Feiyong's hint and had already activated their transformation state inside the castle. In the blink of an eye, as soon as Wolf King and Fatso appeared, they immediately activated their auxiliary battle arts and rushed toward the 9 burly men. Their eyes flickered with shocking killing intent. Whether it was Mu Qing or the 9 burly men, none of them were able to react to this sudden turn of events. Boom! Fatso punched out with both fists, sending the 2 burly men flying. Their blood splattered across the sky. Wolf King was even more violent. It used the void escape steps and rushed in front of the 2 burly men. Its strong and powerful claws slashed out. Ah! Following a shrill cry, the 2 men's heads were directly smashed into pieces, and they died on the spot. And at the same time, Qin Feiyong also made his move, showing no mercy. The 4th move of the void returning art blasted out, instantly killing 2 people. In just half a blink of an eye, they had killed 6 people. But it wasn't over yet. The 2 men and the wolf did not stop at all. They focused their attacks on the remaining 3 men. There was no suspense. Without any preparation, under such a sudden attack, the 3 of them died on the spot. Let's go. After killing 9 people, Qin Feiyong waved his hand and immediately led Wolf King and Fatso towards the scarred man. What's going on? The city lord, who was standing in the distant void, and the crowd gathered outside the city, had their eyes about to pop out. One had to know. The 9 people on the other side were all genuine 8-star war sect S. 9 great 8-star war sects, such a terrifying lineup, could be said to be invincible in this area of Sky Thunder City. But they never would have thought that they would be annihilated by Qin Feiyong's group so effortlessly. These guys were too terrifying. Looking at the figures of the 2 men and 1 wolf, everyone's faces were filled with reverence and worship. People should be like them, vigorous and vigorous. At the same time, Mu Qing finally came back to his senses. He did not doubt the methods of Qin Feiyong and the others. This was because he understood the strength of the 2 men and 1 wolf very well. They had all grasped perfect battle arts. Coupled with the ruthlessness in their bodies, it wasn't strange for them to be able to do such a feat, but there was one thing that he had never expected. That was, Wolf King and Fatso's cultivation had actually broken through to 5-star war sect? Were these 3 bastards the reincarnation of perverts? At the same time, the scarred man also turned to look at Qin Feiyong and Wolf King. He was also rather shocked by the methods of the 2 men and 1 wolf. But very quickly, a trace of contempt crawled up his eyes. The reason why he was able to kill those 9 people in an instant was because it happened too suddenly. And now, he was prepared. In addition, his strength was stronger than those 9 people. To want to kill him was simply a pipe dream. You guys are very powerful. But in front of me, you're nothing. He sneered, turned around, and continued to rush towards the blood. What are you being arrogant for? If you have the guts, come and fight me one-on-one. Wolf King bellowed. But the scarred man did not pay any attention to it. Fatso frowned and said in a low voice, "Boss, his speed is too fast. I'm afraid we won't be able to catch up." Qin Feiyong's gaze darkened and said, "If you can't catch up, then go to the entrance of the Pill Pagoda and block it." "Good idea." Fatso and Wolf King's eyes lit up. Whiz! 2 men and a wolf swooped down and landed in front of the Pill Pagoda's door, coldly looking at the scarred man. The heavenly thunderflame was inside the Pill Pagoda, and there was only one entrance to the Pill Pagoda. As long as they blocked this place, even if the scarred man obtained the blood of the pagoda master, he would not be able to enter. Whiz! Finally, the scarred man grabbed the blood, took out a jade bottle and stored it inside. Next, he lowered his head and looked at Qin Feiyong and Wolf King, a cold light flashing in his eyes. "Qin Feiyong, the heavenly thunder flame must not be snatched away by them. Please, you must stop him." When the pagoda master saw that the scarred man had successfully obtained the blood, a trace of panic appeared on his face, and he secretly transmitted his voice to Qin Feiyong. "So nervous?" Qin Feiyong raised his eyebrows and secretly said, "Tell me, what exactly is so special about the heavenly thunder flame?" The heavenly thunder flame was only a 6th grade pill fire, but it made Mu Qing go through so much trouble to snatch it. Chapter 753. It's a long story, I can't tell you everything right now, but I can tell you one thing. Once the heavenly thunder flames are taken away by them, the Forgotten Continent will definitely be in chaos. The pill tower sent a sound transmission, worried. Qin Feiyong's eyes flickered and said, "All right, I will try my best to stop him, but you have to stall those 2 old things." Frankly speaking, he wasn't too confident. After all, the scarred man was a 9-star war sect, and might even have a perfect battle art. "Thank you. I will definitely hold them back." The pagoda master looked at Qin Feiyong gratefully, and continued to pester the 2 old men. Just as Qin Feiyong and the pagoda master were secretly communicating, the scarred man also turned his head to look at Mu Qing, as if asking for Mu Qing's opinion. Mu Qing frowned. He lowered his head and looked at Qin Feiyong and the other 2, his expression uncertain. Suddenly, he raised his head and nodded to the scarred man. A cold smile crawled up the scarred man's face. "Black demon hand." The next moment, with a cold shout, his large hand shot out explosively. A burst of black battle chi appeared, transforming into a giant hand that covered the sky, emitting a world-destroying aura. Then, with a wave of his arm, the giant hand suddenly swooped down, slapping towards Qin Feiyong and the other 2. "This is..." Qin Feiyong looked at the giant hand in shock. His expression suddenly changed, and he shouted, "This is a perfect battle art, quickly retreat." "Damn it! How are we supposed to fight a perfect battle art?" Fatso and Wolf King were furious. Without daring to hesitate, the 2 of them and the wolf turned into a ray of light and fled into the sky like lightning. Boom! Just as they left, the black demon hand slapped the top of the pill tower, causing an earth-shaking explosion. A destructive wave immediately appeared, rolling out in all directions like an invisible wave. Although Qin Feiyong and the other 2 had escaped in time, they were still swept up by the shockwave and were sent flying, spitting out blood. Bang bang bang. Rumble. Crack. The 3 of them crashed into a mountain range outside the city, one after another. The tall and majestic mountain range split apart on the spot and collapsed. "That's all you've got?" The scar-faced man smiled disdainfully. Then he rushed towards Qin Feiyong and the other 2 with a dense killing intent. But at this moment, Mu Qing shouted, "Don't worry about them. Hurry up and seize the heavenly thunder flame." The knife-scarred man suddenly stopped. He looked at the broken mountain range and sneered, "You're really far." Next, he swooped down and landed in front of the door of the pill pagoda. He took out a drop of blood and dripped it on the door. Rumble. The doors of the pill pagoda slowly opened. Seeing this, the pagoda master was extremely anxious. He used all his strength to push back the 2 old men. Then, he rushed towards the scarred man without looking back. "Humph!" The 2 old men coldly snorted and chased after the pagoda master like lightning, punching him in the back. Bang! The pagoda master spat out a mouthful of blood and his face instantly turned pale. Like a meteor, he crashed into the ground. "Let's see how you're going to stop us now." The two old men smiled sinisterly and landed in front of the pagoda door one after another. The pagoda door was already halfway open. One of them said to the knife-scarred man, "Quickly go in and snatch the heavenly thunder flame. We'll guard here." "Yes, sir," the knife-scarred man respectfully replied. Then, he turned into a ray of light and rushed into the pill pagoda. "Bastard, I'm going to kill you." At the same time, an enraged roar exploded. Wolf King, Fatso, and Qin Feiyong rushed out from the collapsed mountain range. Their bodies were dripping with blood. Wolf King was filled with ferocity as he immediately rushed towards the pill pagoda. However, Qin Feiyong grabbed it and whispered, "We're not their match. Don't be rash. You all deserve to die." At this time, the pagoda master also rushed out from the ground. His body was also riddled with wounds. He stood in the air and stared at the two old men coldly. "You're the one who's going to die." The two old men's eyes flashed with killing intent. They landed in front of the pagoda master and attacked with all their might. Fighting soul open. The pagoda master retreated quickly. A fiery red bird soared into the sky from behind him. It was a fire luan. When it spread its wings, it was dozens of feet long. It was like a mountain in the sky. It was ferocious. Innate superpower. Divine fire scorching sun. As soon as the fighting soul appeared, the pagoda master roared. The fire luan above him raised its head and spewed out flames. In an instant, the world seemed to have turned into a huge furnace. The mountains, rivers, and land within a radius of hundreds of miles, and even the sky were dyed red by the flames. Looking at the flames, the two old men's gazes turned solemn. Boom! The two old men's bodies shook as they activated their fighting souls at the same time. A black light shot up into the sky. Two tall shadows appeared in the sky in an instant. They were two humanoid fighting souls. Moreover, their fighting souls were exactly the same. The two humanoid fighting souls were dozens of feet tall. They were like two giant spiritual gods that had descended to the mortal world. They exuded a powerful aura. However, their faces could not be seen clearly as they were shrouded in a layer of black fog. Only a rough outline could be seen. Innate superpower, divine demon finger. As soon as the two fighting souls appeared, the two old men roared. That moment, the two fighting souls raised their arms at the same time and pointed at the sky. Two rays of black light suddenly appeared and blasted toward the flames. Boom! The three innate superpowers were like comets that collided with each other. An earth-shattering explosion was heard. In this place, the mountains collapsed and the earth cracked. Magma erupted. That terrifying destructive aura was like a raging wave in a vast ocean, destroying everything in its path. That moment, whether it was Qin Feiyong and the other two, or the city governor and the rest, they all fled without looking back. It was too terrifying. It was like the end of the world. It was a sign of the end of the world. Puff! At the same time, the pagoda master spat out a mouthful of blood. Like a fallen leaf in the wind, he flew uncontrollably into the distance. Crack! The mask on his face was also shattered. His sapphire-like eyes were filled with a sense of weakness that could not be dispelled. The two old men were also sent flying, but their situation was much better than the pagoda master's. Boom! Soon, they stabilized their bodies and charged toward the pagoda master again. Looking at the dying pagoda master and the two old men who were filled with murderous intent, Wolf King frowned and said, "Little Qin Zi, do you still want to help?" "Yes." Qin Feiyong nodded without hesitation and said, "Also, I have another task for you." After that, Qin Feiyong whispered a few words in the ears of Wolf King and Fatso. The man and the beast's eyes lit up. They immediately swooped down and disappeared into the mountain stream below. Qin Feiyong also raised his head and looked at Mu Qing, who was standing in the distance. He secretly sneered and said, "Let's see how long you can jump around." Then, he turned his gaze to the pagoda master and shouted, "Come to me quickly." The pagoda master looked at Qin Feiyong suspiciously. Looking at Qin Feiyong's expression, she felt an inexplicable peace in her heart. No longer hesitating, she stepped into the void and forcibly stabilized her body. Then she turned into a divine rainbow and flew toward Qin Feiyong like lightning. "No matter where you go, you have to die today." The two old men followed closely, their faces full of murderous intent. At the same time, Mu Qing also looked at Qin Feiyong with a trace of surprise in her eyes. What was this guy planning? No. Suddenly, his pupils shrank. He looked at Qin Feiyong's left and right sides, and then looked behind Qin Feiyong. Where were Fatso and Wolf King? When did they disappear? He hurriedly glanced at the mountains below, but he didn't find any trace of them. Did they go to the castle? Swish. This time, the pagoda master landed in front of Qin Feiyong and said, "Why did you call me here? Since you're about to die, can you let me see your true face?" Qin Feiyong chuckled. Hearing this, a row of black lines appeared on the pagoda master's forehead. "Don't be angry, I'm joking." Qin Feiyong hurriedly waved his hand, took out a rib bone from his cosmos bag and said, "Use this, I guarantee that I can beat up those two old dogs." The pagoda master looked at the rib bone, her eyes flashing with a hint of surprise and doubt. "Qin Feiyong, if you don't want to die, then get lost." The two old men rushed over with murderous intent. The pagoda master's eyes darkened. Before she could ask in detail, she grabbed the rib bone and turned to kill the two old men. Seeing the rib bone in the pagoda master's hand, the two old men couldn't help but be surprised. Mu Qing, who was in the distance, couldn't help but frown. Suddenly, he seemed to have thought of something, and his eyes were filled with horror. He shouted at the two old men, "Don't fight, head-on, retreat." But it was too late. The pagoda master swept in front of the two old men like lightning, raised the rib bone, and smashed it toward the head of one of the old men. However, the old man was also a powerhouse who had experienced countless battles. When he heard Mu Qing shout, he immediately retreated. At the same time, he raised both hands to protect his head. Boom! The rib bone instantly smashed into his hands. Accompanied by a painful scream, the old man was directly hit by the rib bone and crashed into the ground below. His two arms were also smashed, and flesh and blood splattered everywhere. So strong. The pagoda master was a little stunned. The other old man also stared at the rib bone with his mouth agape. With this, it'll be easy to defeat these two people. The next moment, the pagoda master came to his senses, and he was hale and hearty. When he saw that the other old man was in a state of distraction, he immediately raised the rib bone and smashed it toward the old man's head. The killing intent was bone-chilling. The old man also trembled. He suddenly came to his senses and quickly dodged to the side. Bang! But it was still too late. Although the rib bone didn't hit his head, it hit his right shoulder. Blood spurted out. His entire right shoulder was smashed into pieces on the spot. His entire body crashed into the ground below like a meteor, just like the old man before him. Boom! Dust and smoke billowed and the ground collapsed. A huge crater appeared in everyone's line of sight in an instant. Two battle saints were seriously injured in one move. This scene shocked everyone so much that they couldn't close their mouths. Mu Qing's expression was also blank. Who would have thought that something like this would happen? Suddenly, Chapter 754. What? Now you're angry out of humiliation? Weren't you very proud of yourself when you schemed against me? Qin Feiyong sneered. Mu Qing fell silent. In fact, he knew in his heart that the relationship between him and Qin Feiyong would come to this point sooner or later, but he didn't expect it to come so soon. Yes, I admit that I schemed against you, but I really have no malice toward you. Otherwise, I wouldn't have just let them trap you. Mu Qing sighed. Qin Feiyong sneered and said, "Then shouldn't I thank you for not killing me? Forget about it. As long as you leave now, we don't owe each other anything." Mu Qing said. Qin Feiyong's eyes turned cold and said, "I don't owe you anything. Besides, don't make it sound so dignified. I'll find out what you and Lu Xingchen are plotting sooner or later." Mu Qing's heart skipped a beat. He shook his head and said, "I don't understand what you're talking about." "You don't understand? Then tell me, why did you and Lu Xingchen try so hard to lure me here?" Qin Feiyong sneered. Mu Qing frowned and said, "You're thinking too much." Qin Feiyong waved his hand impatiently and said, "Don't talk nonsense with me. I'll tell you if you don't talk for a day, I'll make sure you don't have a good day." "You're unreasonable." Mu Qing was furious. Boom! At this moment, Two terrifying auras rushed out from the ground below. Following closely, the two old men rushed out of the ground with murderous intent, and their bodies were dripping with blood. Young master, kill him. The two men looked at Mu Qing and bowed. Young master. Qin Feiyong was shocked. Mu Qing's identity was indeed not simple. Mu Qing glanced at the two of them, then looked at Qin Feiyong, her eyes flickering. Not good. Suddenly, the Tower Master's expression changed drastically. What is it? Qin Feiyong was bewildered. The heavenly lightning flame has been touched by someone. The Tower Master's face was as gloomy as water. She had signed a blood contract with the heavenly thunder flame, so as long as someone touched the heavenly thunder flame, she would be able to sense it immediately. Qin Feiyong said, "Then hurry up and kill those two old dogs." Whoosh! The Pagoda Master's gaze turned cold. He grabbed his ribs and rushed towards the two. Young master, please consider it carefully. The two old men spoke to Mu Qing again before turning to look at the Pagoda Master. Their old faces were filled with hostility. Clang! Suddenly, a dazzling divine light shot out from the forehead of an old man. It was a sword. It was 3 feet long and 3 fingers wide. It looked as if it was cast from lava, and its entire body was as red as fire. The sword floated in the air above the two old men, trembling non-stop and creating earth-shattering sounds. As soon as the sword appeared, a vast and mighty holy aura swept out in all directions and shrouded the entire area. This is... Qin Feiyong was dumbfounded. What kind of joke was this? This was actually another sacred artifact. In addition to the replica of the space-time gate, Mu Qing's clan would have 2 sacred artifacts. When did sacred artifacts become so cheap? At the same time, when the Pagoda Master saw the sword, she could not help but feel worried. A sacred artifact was comparable to a 9-star battle saint. Could the ribs in her hand be a match for it? She could not help but start to doubt. However, her expression was still as cold as ice. A sacred artifact requires a 9-star battle saint to be revived. As for you, you are only 1-star battle saints. If you forcefully revive the sacred artifact, only death awaits you. Do you dare? She sneered and her eyes were filled with mockery. Humph! Even if it doesn't revive, the invincible sharpness of this sacred artifact is enough to break the ribs in your hand. One of the old men snorted. He grabbed the sword and charged forward. Clang! The sound of metal reverberated in all directions, almost tearing the eardrums of those who heard it. The Pagoda Master looked at the old man coldly and asked, Qin Feiyong, can you do it? Yes. Qin Feiyong replied through telepathy. The owner of the ribs was the former emperor Mu Tianyang. Mu Tianyang was an expert from the same era as the first emperor. His strength must have reached the peak of perfection. Therefore, the Pagoda Master concluded that the ribs should not be inferior to a sacred artifact. After hearing Qin Feiyong's reply, the Pagoda Master could finally rest assured and go all out. At this moment, both the Pagoda Master and the old man stared at each other with an imposing aura. In less than 3 breaths, the two of them met. Die! Almost at the same time, the two of them roared and charged at each other with their ribs and swords. Clang! The ribs and the swords collided fiercely, causing sparks to fly and illuminate the sky. At the same time, with the two of them as the center, an apocalyptic battle wave swept out in all directions. Wherever it passed, the giant mountains crumbled like withered trees. The rumbling sound reverberated through the heavens and earth. Qin Feiyong and the others were sent flying again as if they were struck by lightning. Blood spurted out of their mouths. As for those who escaped from Sky Thunder City and gathered outside the city, more than half of them were killed or injured in an instant. Screams could be heard endlessly. In the end, the battle wave actually spread to hundreds of miles away from Sky Thunder City. The mountains and rivers within hundreds of miles were directly razed to the ground. It's actually so terrifying. Those who were lucky enough to survive looked at the battle between the Pagoda Master and the old man in horror. Was this the power of a sacred artifact? One had to know. The sword had not recovered yet. If it recovered, how shocking would it be? If they continued to fight like this, everyone here would probably be implicated and die in the end. Clang! High up in the sky, the Pagoda Master and the old man were already in a frenzy and did not consider this at all. Qin Feiyong stood on top of a mountain peak and took a healing pill. He raised his head and looked at the two people. Gradually he couldn't help but frown. Because now, neither of them could suppress the other, and could be considered to be evenly matched. Could it be that he guessed wrong? This Mu Tianyang's strength when he was alive was not as strong as he thought? Clang! But suddenly, under a violent collision, the old man's sword flew out of his hand and into the distance. Moreover, the old man's palm was lacerated and blood flowed out. Even his entire arm was trembling. Obviously, the old man's palm was lacerated because of the collision between the sword and the ribs. It was enough to show that he did not have the upper hand in the battle with the pagoda master. But then, Qin Feiyong's gaze was firmly locked on the sword. That was because the battle sword was flying in his direction. If he could seize the opportunity to snatch it, with a sacred artifact in hand, who would he be afraid of in the future? Decisive. With a leap he used the phantom steps and rushed toward the sword. Quickly retrieved the sacred artifact. Seeing this, Mu Qing quickly shouted, "Hurt!" The two old men were shocked and hurriedly looked at the sword. Suddenly a strong cold light appeared in their old eyes. The person who fought with the pagoda master immediately waved his hand and the flying sword turned in the air and flew back like lightning. Die! But at the same time, the pagoda master seized the opportunity and suddenly raised his ribs and smashed the old man's head. With a cracking sound, the old man's head exploded on the spot like a watermelon. The bloody scene was simply unbearable to look at. He's dead. The expressions of Mu Qing and the other old man also immediately turned blank. And the sword, when the old man died, stopped in the void and did not move. Good chance. Qin Feiyong quickly rushed forward. His big hand suddenly stretched out and grabbed it in his hand. A sacred artifact. He lowered his head and looked at the sword. His eyes shone brightly and his body was trembling with excitement. He had never thought that one day he would own a sacred artifact. Damn it! When Mu Qing came back to his senses, he saw that the sword was already in Qin Feiyong's hand. He immediately became anxious and shouted to the other old man, "What are you waiting for? Quickly take back the sacred artifact." Take it back? Qin Feiyong looked up at Mu Qing and said sarcastically, "You want to take back something that is already in my hands? Is it possible?" After saying that, he bit his finger and decisively dripped his blood to claim ownership. When the old man died, the sword stopped moving. It could be seen that the old man was the one who controlled this sacred artifact. And when the old man died, the blood contract in the sword naturally dissipated. In other words, this sacred artifact was now ownerless. Sure enough, the blood contract in the battle sword disappeared, and Qin Feiyong successfully dripped his blood on it to become its master. This also meant that now he was officially the owner of this sacred artifact. What an unexpected gain. It's over. I lost a sacred artifact before I even got the heavenly thunder flame. And a battle sage died. When I go back, I will definitely be beaten to death by father. The moment Qin Feiyong claimed ownership of the sword, Mu Qing was paralyzed in the air, his face full of despair. But the old man did not give up. Like a bolt of lightning, he rushed towards Qin Feiyong. Qin Feiyong was still very weak and did not dare to revive the sacred artifact. As long as he could take it back, he could instantly erase the blood contract inside. Qin Feiyong looked up at the old man and said disdainfully, "Even your master has given up. What are you still doing here?" The old man looked at him coldly and said, "Hand it over immediately and this old man will spare your life. Have you forgotten about me?" But before he finished speaking, a bone-chilling voice came from behind him. The old man's face changed and he hurriedly looked back. He saw the pagoda master holding the rib and rushing over with a murderous aura. "Even if I die, I will take back the sacred artifact." He gritted his teeth and continued to rush towards Qin Feiyong. At the same time, a terrifying holy aura enveloped Qin Feiyong. "Let me tell you, not only will you not be able to take it back, you will also lose your life." Qin Feiyong grinned. Then, he disappeared into thin air without a trace after saying that. Where is he?" The old man stopped in the air and looked around in surprise. "Idiot, don't you know that he has a spatial divine object? Be careful of your back, get out of the way." At this time, Mu Qing's angry roar sounded. Behind. The old man's eyes trembled and he hurriedly dodged to the side. But it was too late. The pagoda master took a step forward, grabbed the rib firmly, and smashed it towards the top of his head. Ah! A miserable scream suddenly resounded through the sky. The old man's head exploded on the spot without any suspense. Blood stained the sky. Idiots, you are all idiots. Seeing this scene, Mu Qing was so angry that he went crazy and stomped his feet in the air. Whoosh! It was also at this time that Qin Feiyong appeared. Chapter 755. Write it off. Haha. Mu Qing laughed crazily as if she had heard the funniest joke in the world. Qin Feiyong smiled faintly and said, "It seems that you're still not convinced. What a joke. You killed 2 of my clan's battle saints and even stole my clan's sacred artifact. Do you think it's possible to write it off?" Mu Qing roared. Qin Feiyong fell silent. The grudge between him and Mu Qing had become deeper and deeper. If he wanted to resolve this grudge, only one of them could survive. "Here's your rib." At this moment, the pagoda master turned around and handed the rib to Qin Feiyong. There was a trace of gratitude in his sky-blue eyes. If not for Qin Feiyong's help, not to mention protecting the heavenly thunder flame, his life would have been another matter. Qin Feiyong took the rib and smiled at the pagoda master. Then he looked at Mu Qing again. His eyes flashed with a cold light. "I'll leave Mu Qing to you. I'll go to the Pill Pagoda and kill that scarred man." The pagoda master left these words and rushed towards the Pill Pagoda's gate. Boom! But at this moment, a terrifying aura descended and enveloped this world. The pagoda master stopped and looked at the sky in surprise. Qin Feiyong immediately raised his head and looked over. Immediately, their eyes trembled. At this moment an old man was standing in the sky. The old man had a ruddy complexion and white hair. His body was strong. However, he was not tall. He was probably only about 1.5 meters tall. He was wearing a fiery red robe. From his appearance alone, this old man was very inconspicuous. However, the aura he exuded was even stronger than the pagoda master. There was also a trace of gloominess between his brows that could not be dispelled. Mu Qing also looked at the old man in surprise and asked, "Elder Shang, why are you here?" The old man glanced at Qin Feiyong and Mu Qing and said, "If I didn't come, I'm afraid even you would have died here." Upon hearing this, Mu Qing lowered her head in shame. "Young master, I was the one who informed Elder Shang to come." It was also at this moment. A gloomy voice sounded from within the Pill Tower. Following closely, the scarred man rushed out of the Pill Pagoda's door and flew toward Mu Qing like a bolt of lightning. In his hand there was a cluster of purple flames. Previously, after obtaining the heavenly lightning flame, he immediately left the Pill Tower. However, when he arrived at the gate and saw the 2 battle saints killed, he immediately understood that he would not be able to escape today. Therefore, he immediately sent a message to Elder Shang asking for help. He only dared to show up when Old Master Shang came. At the same time, the pagoda master's expression suddenly changed when he saw the purple flame in the scar-faced man's hand. He quickly chased after him and shouted, "Leave the heavenly lightning flame behind. Do you want to die?" The gaze of the old man in the sky also turned cold. He didn't seem to move at all, but a terrifying holy aura poured down like a waterfall toward the Tower Master. The Tower Master's pupils shrank, and he retreated without hesitation. Boom! The holy aura blasted into the ground below. A shocking explosion took place, resulting in a deafening explosion. Crack! Boom! On the ground below, bottomless fissures had appeared. And these cracks were still spreading crazily in all directions at lightning speed. If one were to look down from the sky, the scene would be even more shocking. At this moment, the land within a radius of 1,000 miles was like a broken spider web. So powerful. Looking at this scene, Qin Feiyong's eyes had a trace of horror. This person must not be defeated by force. Seeing that the pagoda master was about to chase after the scarred man, Qin Feiyong hurriedly transmitted his voice. "Don't be rash, I have arranged a backup plan. The heavenly lightning flame won't be able to escape." The pagoda master was surprised. What backup plan? Why didn't she notice it? Qin Feiyong smiled coldly and shouted, "Do it." What do you mean? The pagoda master was even more confused. Mu Qing also looked at Qin Feiyong in surprise. If it were someone else he wouldn't care. But he knew Qin Feiyong too well. Every action and every word of his had a hidden meaning. Before he finished speaking, two figures suddenly rushed out of the mountain stream directly below Mu Qing. They were Fatso and Wolf King, who had disappeared. One man and one wolf used their extreme speed, like two divine rainbows, and landed in front of Mu Qing in the blink of an eye. Then, Fatso reached out his hand and firmly grabbed Mu Qing's throat. This sudden turn of events was something that no one had expected. At first, Mu Qing also thought that Fatso and Wolf King had gone to the castle, but who would have thought that they had been hiding right below him, waiting for an opportunity to make a move? Let him go. Elder Shang was the first to come to his senses, and his eyes immediately surged with murderous intent. Boom! That terrifying holy aura was like a heavenly tribulation, and it blasted toward the man and the wolf. Fatso looked up at Elder Shang and grinned. Old man, you'd better withdraw your aura immediately, or Fat Lord will kill him. How dare you? Elder Shang roared. Let's see if Fat Lord dares to. Fatso smiled coldly, and his 5 fingers suddenly tightened. Mu Qing's face suddenly turned red. At the same time, his hands also grabbed Fatso's arm, and he struggled desperately. Seeing this, Elder Shang's face changed slightly, and he quickly withdrew his majesty and said in a deep voice, "What do you want? You'll have to ask my boss." Fatso chuckled. Boss? Elder Shang frowned and asked, "Who is your boss?" Nonsense, of course it's Qin Feiyong. Fatso raised his eyebrows and said angrily. Elder Shang immediately looked at Qin Feiyong, and his eyes flashed coldly. Qin Feiyong shrunk his neck and said very seriously, "Don't scare me with that look, okay? Let me tell you, I'm a very timid person. If I'm frightened, I might do something out of line." As he spoke, he flew toward Wolf King and Fatso. The Tower Master also followed beside him. She was also extremely impressed by Qin Feiyong's methods and temperament. One had to know that Elder Shang was even stronger than her. If it was anyone else, they would have been scared out of their wits. But this kid, his expression didn't change at all, and he even dared to flirt with her? Just this courage alone was enough to make anyone praise him. When Elder Shang heard these words, smoke rose from his head. He was obviously furious to the extreme, and the scarred man didn't fly toward Mu Qing anymore. He flew behind Elder Shang and stared at Qin Feiyong and the others coldly. Soon, Qin Feiyong and the Tower Master arrived in front of Fatso and Wolf King. Qin Feiyong looked at Mu Qing and said with a smile, "Your family background is so powerful. How can I not have a backup plan? You're ruthless." Mu Qing's face was gloomy. Ruthless? In terms of ruthlessness, I'm not even half as ruthless as you. At least I won't deliberately kill so many lives in Sky Thunder City. Qin Feiyong sneered. Mu Qing said gloomily, "The weak are prey to the strong. Don't you understand this principle?" "Of course I understand. But it doesn't mean that the strong can kill the innocent." Qin Feiyong shouted. Mu Qing frowned and said, "I don't want to talk nonsense with you, just say it. What do you want?" "I think you have nothing to say." Qin Feiyong smiled disdainfully, raised his head to look at Elder Shang, and said indifferently, "Hand over the heavenly thunder flames." Elder Shang was silent. "Don't challenge my patience. Although you are stronger than me, as long as I want to hide, you can't do anything to me," Qin Feiyong said. Elder Shang stared at Qin Feiyong angrily, gritted his teeth and said, "Give it to him." The scarred man said anxiously, "Elder Shang, you can't." But before he could finish his words, Elder Shang said angrily, "Can the heavenly thunder flames be compared to the young master's life? Give it to him." The scarred man's gaze trembled as he lowered his head to look at the heavenly thunder flames. His eyes filled with disbelief. One had to know. In order to snatch the heavenly thunder flames, not only did they lose a sacred artifact, they also lost 2 war saints. It wasn't easy to get it, but now they had to send it back. Then wouldn't their losses be worthless? However, Elder Shang was right. No matter how important the heavenly thunder flames were, it couldn't be compared to the young master. Sigh. He sighed deeply and waved his big hand that was holding the heavenly thunder flames. The heavenly thunder flames flew out of his hand and flew towards Qin Feiyong and the others. "Qin Feiyong, thank you." The pagoda master looked at Qin Feiyang gratefully. Today this person had really helped her a lot. It's nothing. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and smiled. Fatso was stunned and said, Boss, are you really going to return it to her? We can't fall out with her now. Otherwise we will be in a situation where we will be attacked from both sides. Qin Feiyang secretly said. Fatso frowned imperceptibly, but didn't say anything more. The heavenly thunder flames was like a gorgeous purple stream of light, cutting through the sky, getting closer and closer to Qin Feiyang and the others. But a change happened again. Swish! A white figure appeared out of thin air, flashing towards the heavenly thunder flames like lightning, and then grabbed it in his hand. Who is it? Whether it was Qin Feiyang and the others or Old Shang and the others at this moment, a sharp light burst out from their eyes. But when the white figure revealed her true appearance, Qin Feiyang and the others' faces changed. It was a beautiful woman. Her soft long hair was tied up high, and her snow-white dress was spotless, looking graceful and luxurious. That's right. This person was the mysterious madam. Qin Feiyang asked in surprise. Why are you here? Swish! Before his voice died away, another two figures flew up into the sky. They were the burly man and the snakeskin old man. Of course Madam knows, because Madam guessed that you would come to Sky Thunder City. So after you escaped, Madam asked us to wait for you here. And the news of your appearance was deliberately leaked by us. The two of them sneered. Qin Feiyang looked at the two of them, then looked at the beautiful woman and frowned. Are you really going to keep pestering me like this? The beautiful woman just looked at him indifferently, then looked at the pagoda master and smiled. Long time no see. You are? The pagoda master frowned and looked at the beautiful woman suspiciously. Have you forgotten? That year it was me who saved Qin Feiyang from your hands. The beautiful woman said. So it's you. A cold light flashed in the pagoda master's eyes, and he said in a deep voice, Then why are you snatching the heavenly thunder flames now? As long as it's something Qin Feiyang wants, no matter what it is, I will snatch it. That's the reason. The beautiful woman pursed her lips and smiled. Battle chi surged into the heavenly thunder flames, directly erasing the blood contract inside. Puff! You're tuning in to the Li Mei Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.